I've heard of audience participation shows, but this is ridiculous.
Welcome to the return of Friday Night Shite, the show that doesn't give a shite. But tonight, we're talking about some semi-serious subjects, and we're all going to have a laugh. Hello to everybody in the chat. Well done to Franco for being first. Nice. We are sadly missing Istophobos. He should be here. We may have Vex dropping in a little bit later, but on the channel with me tonight is Admiral Teague. We've got Lance of the Outcast Creative and our very own Tatooine spunk rag, Z3PO. Hello, all of you.
Hello.
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 Fancy a bum?
Not really. I gave it up for Lent. Anyway, tonight on the show, we're going to talk about this guy, an absolute legend, the one, the only, Chuck Norris. Anybody got any fond memories of watching Chuck Norris movies?
I worked for Canon when...
Really?
When his movies were happening.
Have you got any interesting anecdotes about Chuck Norris at all?
I didn't meet him, unfortunately, which was a big goal of mine, because he did come over to the UK a couple of times, but the one who came over to the UK more was Charles Bronson, and it was like every time they produced a script, it was like it would go in one pile or the other. It's for the two Chucks, you know, because a lot of the scripts that were written so they could be for either of them, and it just depended which one of them they wanted to do. But all the action scripts that were written for Canon that either Bronson or Norris did were written so that either of them could have played the role. And then the sort of this is Canon films, not his karate stuff that he did earlier on. And then of course, if there was any martial arts stuff, that was just kind of added in, ad lib, like the kicks in Invasion USA and that kind of thing. But I did see Delta Force at the cinema with my very first girlfriend. I have the soundtrack for it on vinyl. I've got the soundtrack to Invasion USA on vinyl. I've got the soundtrack to Firewalker on vinyl, which is one of the few comedies he did with Louis Gossett Jr. I also have that film on Blu-ray. So,
do you know something? 60 films. The last one he was in was last year, one called Zombie Plane. But I remember when, you know, when video shops first started blooming across the UK, he was essential viewing. But unfortunately, at the first outing at the video shop, right, my parents rented a film called I Spit on Your Grave.
Oh, that's one of the bad ones.
Oh my God.
Yeah. My parents, not knowing what kind of film it was, just thought it was just like an action movie the whole family could enjoy. And we all sat down to watch it. And we soon got ushered out of the room, because back in the day, because you had to, before you could actually own one, everybody, you know, decided to rent a video. And that was the in thing at the time. So you often didn't get a remote back in the day, you know, with the top loaders. So my mum diving, she would have made Chuck Norris really envious, because she dove at the video player, trying to turn it off as we all got ushered out. And we thought it was great. But Delta Force, the Octagon, stuff like that, Force Vengeance, Missing in Action, that was just like, oh, crikey. The only one I don't think I saw was Missing in Action 2. Really? And I really must do that.
That's actually a really good film. In some ways, I preferred it to the first one, because it was quite clever, it's quite inventive.
Yeah. In what way? What made it stand out for you, Lance? Why was it different?
It's a prequel film. It's predominantly set. It's about him being in the prisoner of war camp and when he escaped. So it's set predominantly before the first one. But the thing I really liked about it that sticks in my memory apart from somebody getting flamethrowed on a rope bridge, I think, was that there's a really good recreation of the evacuation of the American embassy during the fall of Saigon, where those final 2 helicopters took off with the last batch of Marines in, just as all the Vietnamese were like breaking through the fences, you know, the people that got left behind who worked for the Americans, which there were so many of them. And that is actually, for that to be created as faithfully as it was in a relatively low budget Chuck Norris film by Cannon is quite remarkable, actually. You know, I imagine the director probably fought to get that included. They probably just went, no, go straight to the prisoner of war camp, let's just have the shooting one. It's a really
why
good
muck about? Why muck about with too much of a story and a plot, and just give people exactly what they want? You know, some real sort of like gritty action, because these films might not be what you call Oscar-winning material, but Chuck always delivered on the action front.
I mean, they're just you know, pizza and a beer, popcorn kind of films, but they're great. They're great.
Movies for lads, for proper lads.
Yeah, basically.
What about you, Z? What are your memories of Chuck Norris, apart from Dodgeball, where at the end it gives the thumbs up, and then right at the end of the film you've got what's his name, White? Whoa, crikey! What was Ben Stiller's character? Was it White Goodman or something like that? And then he sat there and he's all fat again. He goes, "Fucking Chuck Norris."
I haven't watched that many Chuck Norris movies, but I do have a soft spot for Lone Wolf McQuade.
Yeah, that's a good
one.
That's a great blend of Western martial arts and 80s cop thriller, and it's kind of like a prototype for Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yeah, I think the last
also got David Carradine as the villain. So
yeah, true,
definite plus.
The last one I saw was Sidekicks. Anybody a fan of Sidekicks?
Yeah, I like that film.
What about you, Teague? You're rather quiet about this subject.
My favorite Chuck Norris movie is and always will be Frogtown 2, Return to Hell.
Oh, I'd forgot about that.
It's a fantastic movie where he piggybacks on the role of the greatest ever dramatic wrestler, Rowdy Roddy Piper, who is just the best, most naturally gifted wrestler to ever do this. And, you know, he had a place in our, like, you know, cultural milieu. Like you said, these were movies for pizza and beer and, you know, like laughs the guys and, you know, you're enjoying it. And as Lance said, also some valid stuff in there too. Enough of an intellectual statement, because the Missing in Action franchise starts a series of movies that I would call Back to Nam to Win, including Uncommon Valor and Rambo 2. So we see this plot starting to reemerge over and over. So he's the first one to do this. And we really did wonder if we had all our guys back. So it was socially conscious too. So, you know, I have nothing but respect for Chuck Norris.
Yeah,
he was the second one to do it. Uncommon Valor came out first.
Yeah. Esther, what about you? What are your memories of Chuck Norris? Esther. Hello, computer.
Is he muted?
No. Esther, are you okay? Esther. Okie dokie. This is bizarre. Esther,
you might want to address the super chat while Istophobos works on the audio. Look at that.
Yeah. A $5 in Chuck's memory. Happy knackering. That's from Paul Dickinson. Thank you. Paul's not been very well. He's lost a stone in weight, bless him. But he's not been well. So I hope that you've, you know, got plenty of Lucozade, the proper sort, you know, the wrapped up version. So I hope you're feeling a lot better, matey. Thank you ever so much for the £5 super chat. Very kind of you, sir. You will get a mention at the end of the show. Esther, I'm a little bit worried about you. You've not responded. So are you okay?
Are you there, Esther?
I don't see anything in the private chat, so I'll keep an eye on that for communications. But like, let's just assume like this might be the first show where I'll be able to get the better of Istophobos.
I know.
It's not like you to most of it, but you got to take a win when you can get one.
Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned now. What about you guys in the chat? What's your favorite Chuck Norris movie? Gavin Blackburn's in there with Delta Force is great. I must agree with that.
Hey,
Paul
Blackie.
Dickinson says Delta Force. What a laugh that was. What are your memories going into the video shop when you? I mean, we're all of a certain age now, so when video shops started popping up, we'd have been like,
Oh, there he goes.
anywhere between 8 and 15.
Yeah, that's about right.
Cartoon
I saw
Man.
that one on cable though.
Yeah, Esther's dropped out.
He might
hope he's
have
all right.
internet problems. Most likely something technical.
Yeah,
I'll keep an eye on that.
it'll be a connection issue, mate.
Let's
Yeah,
see if
I
he
hope
says
so.
anything
I'm
in
looking
the
at it
X
now.
chat. I'll keep an eye on that for you guys.
Ooh,
I
Gavin
actually-
Blackburn says, memory here from Gavin Blackburn says, it was hard for us to get decent movies because we had a Philips 2000 video recorder.
I remember them.
Here we go.
Is that
Esther,
better?
are you all right, my friend? I'm worried about you now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can
Hello,
hear you.
Mr. Phobos, are you there?
All right. Yeah, I guess StreamYard's just it was just stuck. All I had to do was bounce out and come back in. So
Oh, are you sounding really different tonight? You sound like you've had an upgrade. Have you had an upgrade?
I'm on my Mr. microphone back from the 70s. You know, hey babe, we'll be back to pick you up later.
Hey, it sounds fantastic. What are your memories of Chuck Norris, sister?
Oh man, you know, I've got to say, Lone Wolf McQuade was just, you know, that was revelatory at the time. It was sort of, you know, it was sort of the ultimate Western. And, you know, despite David Carradine beating the crap out of a lot of stunt people because he didn't have much control, I mean, it was very cool. And I saw in the early 70s, I saw The Way of the Dragon, but it didn't really, you know, he was just another guy Bruce Lee was beating the crap out of. So he didn't really stand out. And I think Good Guys Wear Black was the first time I really noticed him. And then we had this string of movies, you know, the Octagon, Lone Wolf, Missing in Action. Delta Force was a little bit silly, but I'm not going to lie. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, come on. It was 1986. It was allowed and expected.
Here.
Yeah. You know, it was... Yeah, he's never going to be a contender for an Oscar, but his cultural footprint way outpaces the stuff that he did. You know, he is so disproportionately well known in the entire world. People who've never seen a Chuck Norris movie recognize the name. They know who he is. And then we had all of the Chuck Norris jokes, you know, that started in the late 90s, early. And and then it just wasn't possible to exist on Earth and not know who Chuck Norris was. And the thing is, everybody's ever worked with him has just talked about, you know, what a decent guy he was. And I got to tell you, my personal favorite were those little Christy Brinkley exerciser commercials.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I don't remember the name of that little machine rower.
Thigh Master, wasn't it?
No, the Thigh Master, Suzanne Summers. This was
that's
something
right.
like the core worker, because it worked like your abs. This
Yeah,
was an ab training thing.
Oh, I know which one you mean now. Thank you to Gavin Blackburn, who's chucked us a pot knacker, says, hello, computer, referring to Ista's technical difficulties. Although it wasn't Ista, it was StreamYard. Thank you, Gavin. You'll get a mention at the end of the show. Thank you to all the people who are producers of the show. It's really good to have you on board. Just a bit of a plug there. If you love the channel, hit join, become a member, and support more brutally honest reviews and opinions. Because we like doing that. We don't like holding back, although we kind of have to, because, you know, YouTube is cranking down on the sauciness, which is why we have a new show starting in April, where we'll be reviewing, like a bit of a watch party, of Babylon 5. We're starting right at the beginning.
I love that show, man. Love that show.
Not the pilot, but we will start with season 1, episode 1.
Yeah, it's great.
Midnight on the firing line.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. Hello to Dutch Gradient for joining us.
When are you doing that, Trev? What time of the week?
I'm thinking possibly on a Thursday over on Rumble. But we'll be doing it through StreamYard, so we'll have maximum compatibility. But we'll just bung it over onto Rumble.
Most Thursdays, unless I've got an industry interview, I'm probably free for an hour, and I'm a massive Babylon 5 fan. I'll save it for that stream. But I got Michael J. Straczynski on the phone once.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a story to tell you there, but I'll save it.
Oh, brilliant!
Invite him on the stream.
You definitely.
He won't
you're
come on. He's a proper grumpy bastard. But yeah, he won't come on.
Hello to Punji in the chat. Thank you for joining us. Hey, if you're out and about and you're online, obviously, just pass the word on that we're live and try and drag a few of your mates in so we can all have a really good laugh, because this is deserved. I mean, he made it to 86.
That's a good innings.
It is, and he was in Hawaii, so obviously he must have been on some kind of vacation when it happened.
He was celebrating his birthday.
Yeah.
Mm.
His birthday had just been a few days before, and the trip was actually for his birthday. Yeah. So.
Yep.
Oh, man. I mean, at least he got his birthday, and 86 is a good innings.
Yeah, and it was 86 years of his way, living life on his terms. Man, the guy, you know, he won. Basically, you know, he finished the last level and he moved on. He won.
Have you seen all the memes and stuff of Death crapping himself?
Yeah. I did a song for him.
Really?
Yeah, I put on my channel. You can play it if you want. I wrote it especially for him when he died. And in the lyrics, it talks about how he's gone to take over Death's job, basically, in the song.
Yeah. I tweeted out that Death had a near Chuck Norris experience.
Yeah. Yeah, Trev was on my channel. Not Trev, sorry. Admiral Teague was on my channel with me when we premiered that. That was we did a similar stream
We
to
had
this,
a
but
good
purely
Chuck
Chuck
Norris. Good Chuck Norris discussion, and the song was fun.
Yeah. Apparently, overall, and a lot of people say this, he wasn't pretentious. He was down to earth. He had very little ego. And if he, saw somebody with a bit of talent who would do well in the genre, he would go out of his way to encourage him and, help develop him. In fact, Jean-Claude Van Damme spent a whole year training with Chuck Norris.
That's all completely true. I can vouch for numerous stories that came into canon about. Yeah,
I've seen the video footage of him, training and holding kick pads and stuff like that. And but it was interesting. I watched an interview of him, and somebody asked him about what did he call them? Wannabes.
Steven Seagal.
Yeah, he started ripping on Steven Seagal. But he did it in such a nice way. He wasn't mean. He wasn't malicious. He just said it how it was. Yeah, he was very truthful. But he did it in such a way as to not embarrass.
Steven Seagal. She didn't embarrass him too much, but that comment aged like wine. I'm sorry, it's a Phobos. Go ahead.
His brother is a stunt coordinator and a director, Aaron Norris. And together they mentored tons of not only actors, but stunt people and other industry talent. And he always worked fairly closely with his brother when he could. So, it's rare that you find somebody genuinely interested in helping others in Hollywood rather than trying to use them to step over and get a leg up.
Yeah. A lot of people in Hollywood are very greedy when they get to a certain level. They don't like sharing.
Mate, they're like Norris, a lot of them are like that from the word go.
But Chuck Norris was completely different to that because he was such a humble guy, and he paid everything forward.
But you wouldn't have thought so if you'd seen the Variety article after he passed away.
That was so fucking disrespectful.
It was, wasn't it? Chuck Norris was a great action star, but his politics may overshadow his legacy. Well, you just
it must have been a slow day at Variety when they came out with that, but that was just so disrespectful. After great action star, there were no need for any other words after that. They could have just celebrated the fact that he had such a well-established and long career. He didn't get in anybody else's way. He did his own thing, but he also looked out for people, which is, usually not the case in Hollywood, because when people take a shine to somebody else, it's usually because they want to insert things into them.
Yeah, and as far as I know, he wasn't really political. I don't really, I think
he was quite outspoken on a few issues, but but you're totally right in the sense that he treated everybody on set, regardless of their political views, absolutely the same.
Yeah.
Didn't hold umbrage. He had his views. He was anti-gay marriage and things like that. And I don't agree with those views, but that doesn't stop me from admiring his cinematic achievements. He was a huge part of my childhood growing up. I had a lot of fun with his films. And this is why I don't follow people's politics, because that's their business as far as I'm concerned. And that's not why I follow these people.
I'm not a fan of, like I said before, I am not a fan of politics. You know, that you get people on the left, you get people on the right, and I judge people on how they are character-wise and not what they or who they vote for. Yeah. That should be completely irrelevant in terms of friendships, you know, because at the end of the day, you don't tell anybody who the fuck you vote for. You know, it's a personal choice. Yeah. You don't go around waving a big banner saying, oh, I voted this and I voted that and I voted the other, because politics and religion are two things that you don't talk about for good reasons, because it's such a divisive, you know, topic. Just leave it well alone. And I just want to point out now, we're not going any further on this subject because, as I've said before, politics and religion are just totally... You know, you just don't talk about it.
Yeah, I don't do them on my channel.
Or, you know, everybody has a difference of opinion, and I think that's a good thing. Now, if Chuck said, "Oh, I don't agree with this, that, and the other," that's his business. It's nothing to do with me.
All I would say is this: when Chuck spoke his mind, he didn't hold back how he felt, but he was very moderate in his words. He didn't call people out or shame anyone. So he just like, hey, here's how I feel.
Yeah.
But you know what, brother? I'm willing to listen to how you feel.
You can have an opinion, but it's not an airport. You don't have to fucking announce it to everybody.
Exactly. And you've got people like Mark Hamill, whose political views are their entire personality now.
Yeah, that guy has just sunk below a certain level, in my opinion. I love Luke Skywalker, but I can't stand Mark Hamill anymore.
Yeah, I'm not sure a lot of people even were aware of his views. Like, it wasn't like he used every opportunity to platform them. I think most people just sort of infer him from the roles that he took. But, oh, by the way, it was the Total Gym. That's the machine. And, wow, Christy Brinkley is... quite adorable.
There you go. But she looked great. She always did like the top, like the thrusting exercises.
Thrusting.
Like, let me.
The irony is, I'm sure a lot of gay married people had fun on that machine. From what I can see,
I watched the video anyway, despite their orientation.
Yeah, but the thing, you're right. He wasn't discriminatory. He wasn't shameful. He just said, "Hey, man, that's not my bag."
I want to say for the record that my brother is gay and he's married to a man, and he loves Chuck Norris movies.
Yeah. I mean, listen, man. Probably 40% of my friends in the industry are either gay or bi or whatever. Really don't care, and a huge number of them are Chuck Norris fans, and a huge number of them are Doctor Who fans, although no longer.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Well,
I've got to that point in my life where I'm considering bi. As in buying it, because I'm married and I don't get any. So I'm thinking of buying it.
Yeah. Hey, aren't you gay on Fridays, or have you stopped doing that?
That was Thursdays.
Well,
Thursdays was temporary gay day.
No. Friday. We used to do Friday. You know, where I was gay during the duration of the broadcast, because that gave me unlimited superpowers to say what I really thought. Because I got a bit of protection. It was like a condom, but for saying what I want. But then again, you know, when you're doing stuff like this on YouTube, it's a little bit like oral sex. You know, one slip of the tongue and you're in the shit.
Here's the thing, though. If you're
trans, I'm sorry, it's folks. I have been told to check off trans, gay, and biracial in my creator survey. With the response to why should you do this is, well, why the hell would they ask?
You know, it'd be nice to get an offer. You know, I've got a face for a radio, so I don't get many offers these days. So
I'll set you up a Grindr profile.
Oh, what profile?
That is the one cardinal sin for the Hollywood media. You don't even have to be anti-gay. Just the sin of not falling completely in lockstep with the LGBT agenda is enough to get you kicked out of the club. So
Or
just
trolled in death,
just
as we
just
saw.
an FYI, Z, I have got a 9-inch grinder in the shed, so I'm sorted.
No, that's not the grinder I'm referring to, Trev.
Oh, well, if it's power tools, you've got my full attention. If it's something to do with insertions, then I'll take a very strong pass. Not for me. Not for me. The last time I had a brush with anything like that, the vicar wanted me to get some batteries for his Game Boy. I was a little bit worried.
Yes.
But it's nice to see that so many people in Hollywood came out and actually spoke positively about all the good experiences that they had with Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
So, it's hard. I mean, a lot of the platitudes you get from the Hollywood types are all very disingenuous. It's all about, getting that screen time and getting themselves on a Vox Pops and sharing their opinion, and it's just a bullet point for publicity. But it's just so nice that so many people came out and told such wonderful stories about how they met Chuck Norris and how he interacted with people. And as you said, Lance, he looked out for people on set. He encouraged people. He developed careers, and he just did such a wonderful thing. And you don't hear of any Hollywood types that would go out of the way to be like that. I mean, you've got people like Tom Hardy. I mean, he's very genuine and down to earth.
I directed both plays for his theatre company, just so you know.
Is he as nice as what they say, or is it just a veneer? But he seems very genuine to me.
When you're talking one-to-one with Tom, you do feel he does make you feel like you're important, and he wants to listen to what you want to say. But he's a busy guy, and that can be very fleeting. I mean, my experience of him directing the shows for his theatre company was that both shows had different production issue problems that were not really of Tom's making, but he could have done more to assist rather than kind of come in and claim glory when the press were around, if that makes sense. I mean, he's a nice guy, and I wouldn't, say bad words about him. But I mean, it was, his star was, when I was working for him, his star was just shooting up. Yeah. So he'd just done Man of Mode at the National. He'd just done Band of Brothers.
It's just a shame that he took the failure of Star Trek Nemesis a bit too much because
he told me some stories about when he was filming that, actually.
Yeah. Have you got any anecdotes you can share with us about Star Trek Nemesis?
No, not publicly.
Yeah, it wasn't that good of an experience then.
No, I'm not saying that at all. It's just the story that he told me isn't something that can be repeated in public.
Right. Well, you've dangled a carrot now. Thanks, Lance.
I'll tell you about it offline.
Oh, right. I'm going to hold you to that.
You can eat the carrot offline.
Yeah, Trev.
Yes, Esther.
I got to wonder if Chuck Norris had passed away a couple of years earlier. I wonder if many of the people would have been as forthcoming, because it's kind of okay to do that. It's very telling. And you're hearing a lot of celebrities now, Vince Vaughn, speak out about, the woke stuff, the agenda, the lack of entertainment. But it's like, where were you guys, 4 or 5 years ago? But, you get the idea that it's sort of safer to talk about that now. And I just wonder if he had passed a few years ago, I think we might have had a completely different set of eulogies and talking about him. Like, they had that one bad article, but you know what? They took a little bit of flack for coming out against him, and I don't think that would have happened.
I mean, 5 years ago, we were at peak woke. You would have had every single news outlet absolutely slating his entire career at that point.
Night, Franco. Yeah. Sorry, Franco's leaving us. Catch you on the re-rub. Take care, my friend.
Bye, Franco.
Sorry about that, but I had to say it while I had chance. But it was such a nice statement that was written on Instagram. It's by his family. It says here, It's with a heavy heart that our family shares the sudden passing of our beloved Chuck Norris yesterday morning. While we would like to keep the circumstances private, please know that he was surrounded by his family and was at peace. So that's nice, you know? I mean, he deserved a peaceful end, and I don't think anybody would have given him any trouble, because even if he was on his, I know this sounds disrespectful, but I can just imagine on his deathbed, he still commanded a very high level of respect.
Yeah, you know, the jokes started coming instantly, but they weren't mean-spirited. It wasn't a, oh, too soon kind of thing. It was just right away, you know, it's like, Chuck Norris didn't die. He beat the game and stuff like that. And
yeah.
And you know what? He would have loved that.
Yeah. That's
he
the thing.
Absolutely would have been totally fine with all that stuff, because he loved it. It kind of gave him a, you know, and he would go on chat shows and have laugh about it with
right.
people and
well,
stuff.
Who was he talking to at a talk show when he got kicked in the teeth? He said, I got kicked in the teeth. Was it Letterman? He's like, how's the other guy? And he goes, oh, I bring him flowers every day.
I was surprised to learn his name was actually Carlos Ray Norris.
Huh?
Born in Oklahoma. So I suppose that's good. He is a Chuck in a way. Carlos, you know, it's and he was also in the U.S. Air Force as well. He was an airman, first class.
Oh, he was an MP or an AP. He was a military policeman. He dealt with drunk airmen, you know, and breaking up fights and bringing them home. And he was in Korea. So he's a military veteran. He was in a war, technically a police action. And he had one of the hardest jobs you can have in the service.
Yeah, he joined up in 1958 as an air policeman. And he was based in South Korea. That's where he got his nickname Chuck and began training in Tangsu-do. That sounds very exciting. After returning to the United States, he continued serving as an AP. And in August 1962, he was discharged from the Air Force with the rank of Airman First Class. And then he wanted to be a policeman in Torrance, California. Is that topside of LA? Or is it, it's that neck of the woods, isn't it?
Torrance?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think it's north.
Yeah, it's definitely not fancy, you know. It's like kind of think of like Fresno or something, but
so it's not really Valley Girl territory.
No, it's not. There's not the hoity-toity stuff there. And
that's where he set up his first dojo.
Yeah.
Did you think of how little crime that town would have had for the last 60 years if they had just taken him up on the offer? It's like, you know what? We got this guy. There's something about him. It's like everyone who comes to town, it's like, we're looking to set up like a motorcycle speed distribution ring here. It's like, down, you know, buddy, you know?
Yeah.
Something like a strange statistic in crime went away today in the United States. That would have been the notification that he was gone.
Did we actually mention Way of the Dragon? Because that is an absolute belter of a movie.
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny. Tang Soo-do is very similar to Taekwondo. They're both South Korean, but Tang Soo-do is more the fighting form, whereas Taekwondo is the sport. So he transitioned, you know, into actual sport fighting after his initial training. He was like world champion like 6 years running. In the full contact middleweight karate championship. I mean, he was the real deal.
He certainly was, you know, and he earned everything because, you know, he started right at the very bottom, worked his way up, and some people get stuff given them to him on a silver platter, but this guy worked hard to get where he was. And I think that's why he commands so much respect from people.
Oh, did you know who one of his students was who encouraged him to try to do the acting thing? Steve McQueen.
Really? Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
Yeah. And
didn't he appear on Dick Cavett and he told him that story?
Oh, it could be. That was a while ago. But he had his own form of martial arts. I'm not kidding. It's called Chung Kuk Do.
Which is like cock
Chuck.
Or cook?
No, Chun Kuk, like Chuck. You know, it's almost like Chuck Fudo, but no, he actually registered his fighting style as that. So.
Paul Dickinson in the chat says, "Tell me anyone, how many of today's stars would be remembered as positively as this? Not many." And I kind of agree with
definitely not.
Yeah,
you see it
Shatner.
online. Rest in peace, Mark Ruffalo. He was a dick.
Gold.
Yeah.
Somebody said it's Shatner. This is the only other
said,
person who has like a sick. Yeah, there's an overlap between these two figures, iconically and culturally.
Z, could you just do me a quick favor? Can you just take over for a few minutes? I've just got to attend to something.
I most certainly can.
No problem. Oh, okay. I thought he said me. Teague and Z sound the same. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you go ahead. What other memories do you have of Chuck?
He's gonna turn it into a
droid
talk
about
sex
that time
party.
he came over for dinner, Admiral. That'd be good.
I think Chuck was like well covered. I did love, Missing in Action too. I guess Lance was right. They beat me by a little bit with Uncommon Valor, but this was a theme that was starting to surge up in cinema. What if there were some people left behind? And really, it wasn't given enough consideration in serious media because there's still a mystery, right? We should have more to go on than just maybe, probably not, but maybe. Like, we should have something better than that. So that's my comment on that one.
Yeah, well, I think it was a sort of a given. There were just too many people MIA. I remember in the 70s, my family would wear bracelets of soldiers that have been missing ever since Korea and then Vietnam. So you hear stories about this. It's sort of a heavy subject, but
well,
you're right. It did create a genre of movies. It really did. The genre of going back.
So
yeah,
just full disclosure.
Yeah, going back and winning this time was actually a genre in the 80s.
People didn't mind seeing this. People didn't mind Rambo 2. People didn't mind seeing a little bit of payback. And Missing in Action 2, it has there's a little more optimism to it than just the other movie. It's like this is like a little bit of payback going in. I'm sorry, Missing Action 1. Missing Action 2 is the prequel, right?
Yeah, I never saw it.
The battle. 2 has the battle, and like Lance said, the fall of Saigon.
I think nice. Thank you for that, lads. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Dolph Lundgren just put out a huge Instagram saying that he was the one who inspired him to go on his career path too, and they were friends. So yeah, it's just great to hear Hollywood people being apolitical and just paying tribute and honoring somebody, as a friend and somebody, they cared about. It's nice. It's like
the thing is, what impressed me is that when people were talking about their experiences with Chuck Norris, they were all very positive, and they weren't just, like I said before, it wasn't just the fake platitudes, to score brownie points and look genuine. The comments were actually genuine. These people, it was heartfelt.
It seemed like his friends reacted to the trolling. It seemed like a lot of people were offended and wanted people to know that wasn't the guy. That's how I felt. Or, we don't know the sequence of when these things were cut together. My perception of it is I turn on a device, I find this out, and then I see a sequence of videos. It came off to me like a lot of his friends and they were just like not indignant, but they were like effusive and like more so than with other celebrities.
Yeah, and they're very specific about their little feelings and anecdotes, and it really did feel authentic because it wasn't just like it wasn't a form letter. It was a very specific little thing about what Chuck meant to them, and that was kind of cool to see.
Well, I'm just going to put this out there. When I put the chat on the screen for a little while, come on, guys, give us your best memories of when you got together with your friends and you sat down and you watched a Chuck Norris movie, and you had a great time. And what like going back to the 80s, VHS rental, it was all new. So it was more of an experience. And when you got together with your friends to watch a movie, whether it be Chuck Norris or whatever, you would make it an occasion, because it was a big thing renting a video out back in the early days, if you remember.
Yeah, Lone Wolf McQuade was a big deal because, we didn't at the time, we didn't understand that David Carradine had some behind the scenes issues. He was freaking Kwai Chang Kang, for God's sake, and to see those two in a matchup, that was just the coolest thing you could have ever seen. So, when that movie came out, man, that was that was an event. A bunch of people all getting together, going and seeing it. And then later on, we would occasionally rent it over the weekend.
But he's not just an amazing action hero. He's technically, his highest rated film on Rotten Tomatoes is the one he plays the villain, which is Where the Dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was only the bad guy twice. Pretty much as soon as he hit it, he wasn't going to be the bad guy anymore. So.
Great memory from Paul Dickinson. We rented a double bill of Delta Force and the Blues Brothers. Great night. I can imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's an interesting combo. Yeah, I can see that.
Come on, guys. Share your memories of watching Chuck on VHS. Surely there's got to be some great memories of back in the 80s. I used to love that.
I've got a good one for you. So,
go on, then.
Invasion USA got a cinema release, but they showed a really crap clip of it. Was the clip where the guys put the bomb on the school bus on film, whatever it was, film 86 with Barry Norman. And I thought, well, that doesn't look very good, so I didn't go and see it at the cinema. Then when it was released on video, which was really shortly afterwards, you had these massive standees in the video store of Norris with his two cool mini Uzis and all these helicopters and tanks and shit coming behind him, and there was a sculpture of the Capitol building and everything. And I thought, wow, this actually looks really cool. And the first time I watched it, you got that massive battle at the end, which is filmed in Atlanta, where they throw in everything but the kitchen sink, and all the Cuban guys come out. They've kind of been ambushed, and the National Guard let them have it, and it's all M60s and tanks, and versus these guys with little black caps and shades on and stuff. And I thought, this is a really cool battle. I'm going to recreate this with my Lego. So my Chuck Norris figure with my Lego was the new Lego figure at the time was the blue spaceman, right? That was the
Benny.
new cool
Lego.
So Chuck Norris was the blue spaceman, and you used to get these metal detector sort of things that the spacemen carried. And I realized if I cut off the end of the metal detector on two of them, I had too many Uzis. This is before you could get the guns. So I had the blue spaceman. I still have this figure with these two guns. With these two metal detectors with the ends cut off, so he looked like he had the mini Uzi. And I built this whole set of this building in Atlanta with the top corridors, so the Lego helicopter could land on there with like 8 terrorists in it, and my Richard Lynch figure, who was like some kind of Lego ninja evil guy or whatever. And then all the Cubans were like all the town firemen and the knights, and I had their swords turned on sideways so they could be machine guns. And all the National Atlanta Guard were all the red spacemen and the white spacemen that I had. And I had about 6 of the yellow guys. So they all got to have the M60s, which were like the Lego camera things. And I replayed that battle. I must have replayed that battle about 20 times with dice, and the National Guard, like the Cubans always fired first, and then the National Guard fired. And within about 6 rounds, it was always over. Chuck Norris was running around in corridors, killing off Richard Lynch's guys. But I love that film, and there's a longer cut of that film. It was about half an hour longer. It was originally shown to the Canon guys, and it was cut. It was the reason it was cut was not because that cut wasn't any good. It was simply because when they put it on at their cinemas, because they'd just taken over the cinema chain, they wanted to be able to show more screenings of it in a single day to make more money. And so the main Canon guy was like, cut out all this blood. We don't need all this blood. Just get to the action. Get to the action. I want the action in the film. Cut the blood. Unfortunately, a lot of the scenes that were cut were Melissa Prophet's scenes, and she fucking can't act for toffee. She's the worst.
Well, no loss there then, really.
Yeah.
And whoever came up with that decision did us all a favour, I think.
Yeah, but I would like to see. I would
bad.
like to see the other scenes. There are a lot of other scenes that were cut with the terrorist plotting, and I think there was a couple of other little terror attacks that were cut out. So I'd like to see all that stuff. And Joseph Zito, the director of the film, is still alive. So who knows? Anything.
Just before we wrap up talking about Chuck Norris, massive props to Richard Lynch though, because he was the epitome of the bad guy in a lot of stuff from the late 70s through to
Sword
the
and
early 80s.
Sorcerer.
Yeah,
Sword and
yeah.
Sorcerer. He nails that role, and he's an amazing actor as well.
And he'd been in every TV franchise in the 80s.
Oh yeah, Columbo, Rockford Five. You know, when you saw him, you know, there's
Fall Guy.
And he was in Battlestar Galactica twice in the original series, and then he came back in Galactica 1980.
Star Trek Next Generation 2-parter, really good 2-parter.
That was a great double episode. The one where Picard pretends to be a criminal, and he starts turning the crew and wants to cause a mutiny. And we had Robin Curtis in that double episode as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and she was supposed to be a Vulcan, but she was actually a Romulan.
Yeah,
which was weird.
You're right. He's not just a bad guy. He's always a specific kind of bad guy. He's either the leader of like an outlaw gang or organized crime, or, you know, he's the evil sorcerer behind the throne sort of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, Buck Rogers too, right? He had to be in Buck Rogers.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Rest in peace, Chuck Norris, who left us aged 86.
Yeah,
rest
but he
in
was
peace, my
never the
friend.
same since they kicked his cowboy ass in 2005.
True. Anyway, on to our next topic. Are you ready? This one's a doozy. To upset all the Harry Potter fans.
Oh, yeah.
What do we think to the news that I think I'm going to have a real hard time saying this, but is it Papa Esiadu?
Papa Esiadu.
There we go. Yeah. That is quite a mouthful. Who's been in the news at the moment because of the Harry Potter series. He's been cast as Severus Snape, and he says that he's had to hire bodyguards because he's received death threats for the Snape casting, which I think is total bollocks. Who was that guy who reportedly got racially abused and it turned out to be complete rhubarb?
Oh, Jussie Smollett.
Yeah, so I think this smacks of that.
Well, here's the thing. He's in a high-profile TV show. He already has bodyguards. He already has security. And, you know, welcome to the internet and welcome to celebrity. Everybody gets a few death threats here and there. But every time they come and claim that it's this huge racially motivated, we never see receipts, right? We never, you know, there's always going to be some mentally ill people sending weird kind of things, but I don't think anybody's buying it this time either.
No, the same was true with Kelly Marie Tran during the last.
Yeah, Jedi. But she didn't claim that. In fact,
she made a point of denying it.
She debunked it herself. It was the media, you know, putting words into her mouth, and
yeah, it was a slow news day, wasn't it? And they've got to hype things up to have that hyperbole just to sell and get noticed. And it's just a typical practice for the media to hype things up. And like Atom Gray says in the chat, it's all racially motivated rage bait.
Yeah, I don't blame him for taking the job, and I don't blame him for people that are, you know, tweet that this will ruin Harry Potter. But I do blame them for jumping on the victim bandwagon and using that bullshit to try to score points.
Yeah. If it wasn't for bad hires, I would be broke. So you're right.
I think, you know, the series might not be doing so well as they anticipate. So they've got to cause a bit of controversy to get people to watch the show. You know?
Yeah, because that always works.
Yeah, well, it's the classic bait and switch, isn't it? You know, if it causes a bit of upset and it gets people heated, because, you know, the thing is, right, you've got to hype things up, but they do it in such a negative light. I don't think it works out well for them in the end because it's a lie, it's bullshit, and it's disingenuous. Well, and they get caught. Everything comes out in the wash in the end, and they're just going to get caught.
It's freaking Harry Potter. They don't need the publicity. Everybody on the planet's going to know about the show. But here's the thing: people are getting tired of this BS. They're getting tired of the rage bait. They're getting tired of the fake racism. And the thing is, because of the nature of the character of Snape, you know, there's no way you can do this without changing the entire context of the show, not just his character. It's going to turn a story about, you know, popular kids bullying a a dark wizard, and it's going to make the whole thing about race instead of magic, and people don't want that.
It's going to make Harry Potter's dad, James, look like he's a complete and utter member of the National Front.
The Ku Klux Klan.
That depends how that's filmed, doesn't it? If Harry Potter's gang has got 3 other black actors in it, boom, problem solved.
Yeah.
Apparently, he told the Times that he'd been told to quit. Somebody said, "Quit, or I'll murder you." And I think, this guy is just putting it out there and creating a bit of bullshit and a bit of tension.
I don't think
that'll work out well for him in the end.
I disagree with that. I don't think he is putting those stories out there. Sorry.
You think it's actually genuine?
First of all, if you drill into the detail and double fact check everything, and just bearing in mind I work in the industry and this kind of shit goes on all the time. I'm not just talking about racism, but stories coming from set about this person said this or this person said that. Okay, so we deal with this on a weekly basis. First of all, it wasn't him that increased his security. The production decided to increase the security. That was nothing to do with him. They decided. So this is the HBO who are shooting the show have decided to increase his security to and from the set. Now, he has had loads of tweets that have been abusive, and that's not nice for any actor to deal with, regardless of what you're taking on. Now, if he's a jobbing actor, I know loads of people that have worked with him. He's a very nice guy. He is also exceptionally gifted. He's a very, very talented actor. At the end of the day, he's an actor looking for work, and this is one of the biggest franchises of all time. And if you get a job in this franchise, regardless of the role, you're basically, remember, it's a season per book. So how many books are there? Is there 7 or 8 books? So that's 8 seasons. That's 10 episodes. So you're basically saying, by getting a job on this show, you're going to be a millionaire of some substantial degree, whether you're one of the kids, whether you're one of the teachers, you're going to be a millionaire by the end of it. As long as they don't have a falling out with the producers and they don't recast you, you're going to be a millionaire. So if somebody offered me a job to direct something that maybe wasn't particularly my bag, but I knew that was going to be the outcome for me financially, would I direct it? Of course I would, because I need the money and I'd love that level of security. Now, race swapping the role is a whole different issue. I didn't read the books, so I personally don't care. I do love Alan Rickman. I'm a massive, you've no idea what a massive Alan Rickman fan I am. So for someone to slip in the shoes of Alan Rickman in any role, God forbid that they should remake Die Hard one day, and I hope they don't. But imagine the person stepping into that shoe of Hans Gruber. Christ, I don't think any actor would want to take that on. So he knows already he's stepping into massive shoes, regardless of the issue of race. That's massive pressure for an actor to be under before we even get onto the race issue. I understand the concerns about the backstory with the dad. Somebody actually had to explain that to me because I've never read the books. But if you put some black actors in that gang, you immediately solve that problem, and it's no longer a racial bullying issue. Right. I understand the concerns, and I hope they do address it that way.
It's still a racial thing because he's in love with Harry Potter's mom.
Harry Potter's mom, absolutely.
Yeah. It's still a huge racial thing. I don't care how many other black guys might be beating him up too, because those guys are basically James Potter's girlfriend.
Yeah, I mean, I just look, at the end of the day, I just hope he does a good job. If he doesn't, it's going to finish his career. But I think he will do a good job.
As long as Harry doesn't end up appearing on Maury Povich, then we know it's all good.
Yeah, I don't think he's propagating these rumors. No actor would want that. And if he was propagating these rumors, that would spread through the industry like shit through a goose. It will be the production and the publicity team for HBO that will be doing all that stuff. It won't be the actor.
Thank you, Lance.
So just keep that in perspective of how the industry works. You've got to remember there are big publicity teams on these kinds of productions. This is a huge production. You're talking billions of dollars at the end of the day. And there will be publicity teams that will be stirring all those pots with no consultation with him.
They may even beguile him and send him a few mean tweets to get him fired up and scared.
There's no way to determine what's genuine or what's bots or anything like that. Or maybe there's a part of the media team, the marketing team, which are actually putting a bit of a negative spin on this just to create the stories that are being put out there. But it's I don't agree with this guy getting death threats.
No,
the only thing I don't agree with, right? If you're gonna cast somebody in the role of Severus Snape, at least give it some credence and give it to an actor who possibly could pull off being a younger or at least contemporary with Alan Rickman. Somebody who's got that gravitas to pull that role off.
In the books, he's described as a thin man with sallow skin, a hooked nose, and greasy shoulder-length black hair. And
he's also 31.
All due respect to Papa, he has none of those aspects. He doesn't even have the cold black eyes that look empty and lacking warmth.
Yeah, the whole selling point of this show when they announced it was we're going to be ultra faithful to the books because we have more time. We won't have to leave anything out like the movies. And the first thing they do is take this huge deviation from the books that there's just no way they would be able to remain faithful with the change they made. So, one, you got half the fans sort of off kilter just with that. But wanted to comment, Lance, you're exactly right. Like the press, the media, they're setting him up because the way they're portraying this, they show a picture of him looking right at the camera and then say quote, and it really does give you the impression that he's the one saying this. He's the one complaining.
Not the case.
No. I know, but I'm saying the media
it's been spun in a way, hasn't it, to make it like he's doing all this.
Yeah, they are setting him up for sure. They're definitely, and this. Hey, didn't we just remember here before? Like the media were asking questions, trying to trip up people and trick them and get them in the shit.
That's very disingenuous on the part of the media. The media are putting such a spin on this. They're turning it into something that it possibly isn't. They're making more of a meal of it. How do we, what are our reactions to the people that are just saying this is a DEI hire to sort of counteract and enrage J.K. Rowling because she's got some spicy opinions?
No, she's got executive producer credit on the production, and she's I know she's hands off on this one.
Oh yeah,
but
it's in name only apparently.
She has got influence still, and if she hadn't have been okay with this, basically what they said at the beginning of the production, again, if you want to fact check things, is when they put the casting note out, they said it's colorblind casting for all the roles, I guess, except for Harry. So they basically said colorblind casting for all the parts. And we're going to cast people on merit. And they saw 32,000 people for the roles in this production. 32,000.
30, bloody hell.
That's an incredible number. Yeah. And I mean, if the director decided that Papa was the best person for the part, that's his choice. But then he's also got to defend that choice and say, yeah, okay, the physical description is this, but we're doing this because,
Yeah, but Adam Driver is also a very good actor. And
he would have been great.
I
bet he didn't want to do it.
Would have been perfect.
He would have been great, but I bet he didn't want to do it. I bet he didn't want to commit to doing an 8th season.
Yeah, you may be right.
Do you think on part of the director and the casting team, they've done this to create the controversy?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
To drive people to watch this thing.
Well, I don't know if it'll work, but they're definitely going for controversy. And remember, J.K. Rowling is completely liberal and left, except for that one thing, and this isn't that thing. So I have no doubt she's completely behind. She once said, "Oh, Hermione could be black. I never said she was white," kind of thing. The only thing they differ on is that one thing. I'm not going to say it. But, so, yeah, I'm not surprised she would be behind this too. And he might be great. But,
yeah,
this is a huge IP. People have, they have tattoos. the property's been around. How long have the movies been out? I'm saying to zig when you should have zagged is just a clear indication of not giving the audience what they want.
Sorry, let me mute that.
I think what it also boils down to, the films have set a precedent, have they?
Yeah.
They've got expectations of these characters and how they should be portrayed. And the kind of actors that are in this series should, be true to the characters that have already been established.
I mean, I don't necessarily want to see exactly the same interpretations as we've seen in the movie. And I'll be honest, when I went to watch the trailer the other day and I did a live reaction on my channel to it, I honestly thought I was going to think the trailer was utterly terrible. I was pleasantly surprised that actually it appeared quite gutsy and a bit moody, and it was quite dark. And
yeah,
to be honest
with you, the trailer for me, the worst thing about it was the color grading.
Yeah, but
it was terrible.
Do Harry Potter fans aren't we over the whole dark thing? Aren't
just one at a time, guys? Esther, you were saying that.
Aren't we sick of this whole dark nihilism misery thing? Like, I think of all the things that you could turn dark, Harry Potter isn't the thing. Like, I don't know any Harry Potter fans who are looking for a darker, grittier interpretation, man. They want magical, they want whimsy, they want color, they want flights of fancy. They're not looking for this. They're not looking for Game of Hogwarts.
Yeah, that's kind of what we got in the trailer, though, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah, that's exactly what you got. And it also looked like cosplayers were acting out the movies. So you're right. You don't want to do it exactly like that because they're never going to measure up to what people already have in their head. But, make it more fanciful, not less. You don't want to ground this story in grit and nihilism.
I bet this isn't going to cost $1 million an episode either, is it?
You said earlier that they were going to adhere to the books, but it already came out this week that they're going to be expanding on the stories and writing their own stuff for it. Yeah. So,
leaving things out and leaving other things.
Harry Potter fans are going to be aggrieved with this series.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah, it's a sticky wicket for sure, isn't it? Really, it's all down to the controversy. I've said it before. I'll say it again. That's what this is all about.
Yeah, but that only gets you views for one episode, and they've got 10 seasons of this planned. I don't think they're going to make it. I think it's going to get canceled more around the halfway point. But that is a really bad strategy. Everybody's going to know about this. You don't need controversy. What you need is good word of mouth.
True. Thing is, though, is it going to backfire on them? Is it going to be a tactic which doesn't work out in the long run? And ultimately, it becomes more destructive.
I don't think it's going to be Rings of Power failure. People are going to watch this, but I think it might be more along the lines of Superman's James Gunn. It's going to be sort of a little disappointing. It's not going to perform. And remember, we're looking at about we're looking at a total production budget over the course of all the seasons at $5.5 billion over 7 seasons.
Yeah.
So they're looking at $100 million per episode.
Oh, crikey. And I thought Starfleet Academy was bad.
Yeah.
You say $100 million per episode?
That's what they're saying. You cannot afford to alienate.
Per episode or per season?
No, it says a massive budget of $75 million to $100 per episode. So that's where you get $5.5 billion over 7 years.
Is it a 8, 10?
Yeah. Well, let's say it's 8 episodes per season. That pretty much brings you to $5.5 billion. But at that budget, you can't afford to alienate any potential viewer. You should be trying to gain, look, they have like 250 million likes on the trailer, but 160 million dislikes already. It's not ratioed, but you don't want that for a show that costs this much money.
Just to confirm what Ista said, it's been publicly stated on X Warner Brothers spent $1.2 billion to make all 8 Harry Potter films. The new TV series reportedly costs $100 million per episode, which would make it the most expensive TV show ever produced. That's it. That's just, and we thought, $10 million an episode for Star Trek.
Yeah.
That was bad enough. And Paul Dickinson says money washing. I think there might be a bit of truth to that. Well, I think there's some definite rinsing going on.
Yeah.
So, final thoughts, guys, on the casting controversy of Harry Potter, the TV show.
Why?
I personally don't care. I'll wait and see, because I am going to watch the first couple of episodes. I'm curious to see what it's like, so I'll wait and see what they do.
I think this will go the same way as the Hogwarts Legacy video game. It will be an absolute success, and the kids will love it. The J.K. Rowling haters, well, they can eat a bag of dicks, because this is going to do massive numbers.
Yeah,
Esther, your final thoughts.
My thoughts is this show is going to cost 500 Godzilla -1s, and I'm just thinking of all of the movies we could have had for the money. I mean, like I said, I don't think it's going to fail, but I think it might be disappointing. Maybe not the first season, but I don't think the people that are capable of making a show that'll bring people back year after year, I don't think there are many of them left in Hollywood anymore. I don't know. I am very skeptical. I could be wrong. People are going to watch it, but maybe not in the numbers they need to make it profitable.
Yeah. Hot take from Melvin Deeply. Hello, sir. It will make him a millionaire. So he should have been a professional and kept his mouth zipped about J.K. Rowling. He's an idiot. F him.
Yeah.
Don't hold back, Melv.
Yeah, I think he'll be a millionaire after, the first season. We're looking at tens of millions.
Who said something about J.K. Rowling?
Well, they threw out Andrew Garfield today for no reason to say something about her, among other people.
Yeah, Papa SUD did sort of throw JK under the bus, so maybe
what did he say? I haven't seen that. What did he say?
No, I haven't. Melv, have you got anything to back up what you've said there, mate? That'd be quite interesting. Atom Gray says, does anybody know how God of War is looking? Any news? Any info?
I didn't even know it was happening.
No, I didn't.
No good asking me.
Right, let's move on to another topic now. This gets better. Ta-da! I've been waiting for this one. Star Trek Academy is officially dead in the water. They wrapped 3 weeks ago on season 2, and season 2 will be the last season of Star Trek Academy. Paramount's decided to pull the plug on any further productions. A lot of people are exceedingly butthurt about this over on X and everywhere else at the moment. It's causing a lot of backlash. Robert Picardo has been going around and targeting people and blocking them on X, but I did the wise thing. When he started shilling hard for Alex Kurtzman, I decided to be a bit proactive and actually block Robert Picardo before he had any opportunity to block me. But Kareem Dayan has been very vocal on social media. He's been putting loads of videos out over on Facebook, and he's really, really trying hard to keep his character alive. I don't think he's sold Jaden very well, or Gaiden, as we used to call him on the reviews of Star Trek Academy. This was $10 million per episode. I thought it would have had potential, but from the early trailers, I thought, a lot of red flags are showing. I thought overall, the writing was terrible. The production was over the top, too much lens flare everywhere. They needed to tone this fucker right down. It was too bright. It hurt my eyes. Obviously, it was for the TikTok generation because there were too many fast edits and too many jump cuts and whatnot. I thought it was over the top. Some of the characters were either too good or not good enough. Actually, I said too good, and I didn't really mean that because and it felt there was no cohesion. I know certain shows take a few seasons to get into the stride and whatnot, but I didn't feel any of that. The cast, they looked sort of good on screen, but I didn't find that the characters had much depth. There was no real character exploration. And what we did get, it was all about trauma. That's all we heard every week, trauma loop. And it was all about that.
Kurtzman, every time, no matter what he says, he slides into a horror story by the middle.
Yeah, it's all about some kind of trauma. Then you've got this underlying plot about Jaden and his relationship with Kyle. And then he started wearing skirts. But everybody's fine with that. I mean, it's up to him if he wants to wear a skirt. I don't bloody care.
Once he put that skirt on, he never dressed like a man again. You know what you said about the cohesion? Can I just back you up on that?
Yeah.
Part of it was this. They, with their low budget, didn't even have their principal lower tier actors all on the same set at the same
low
day.
Budget,
Plus,
10 million an episode, Teague.
No, they're with what they were operating with after they skimmed their money off, in my opinion. Okay, I'll keep you off the hook on that one. In my opinion, there was chicanery going on. Holly Hunter got paid, Paul Giamatti got paid, etc. We know who got paid. Alex Kurtzman got paid, but we got an operational budget that looked like $100,000 an episode minus some special effects. If you ask me, that did not look like a top tier production. And I feel like a lot of these cuts was to prevent them from ever having to have the SAG minimum of, in America, 25 actors to have any non-union actors on set, because you are allowed to mix them together if you hit a SAG minimum. That's how that deal works. So they weren't even paying 25. There was 11 name cast and 23 producers. They're not even paying a dozen actors, and they're not giving a dozen SAG actors a job per show. So there was never any background except in episode 1 and 10. There was no cohesion. A lot of the principals, even the young principals, they didn't have enough money to have them on set at the same time. And it was just cut together really badly. And a lot of times, even with the low price talent, it was so badly doubled, it made those problems worse. That's all I wanted to say.
At least they spaced Ensign Flounder. She was terrible.
Oh, is that why we didn't get Ensign Ate My Com Badge on every episode? Because they didn't have the budget?
Well, there was that one episode where she was on the bridge and she was absolutely losing the plot. And it just looked like they secretly decided that they wanted to space her. And they were all happy about that, to be fair.
I love that people are dying, and the first priority was, well, she's having a panic attack.
Yeah.
No, in space, there is no safe space.
That's for sure.
Or in space, nobody can hear you scream in your safe space. That'd be a good tagline. Esther, you were very vocal about this on the live streams. Do you want to chip in with your 2 cents?
As far as what? The cancellation?
Yeah, what do you think was the ultimate downfall of this series? And don't say sheer fucking hubris, because that was apparent.
No, nobody wants
cancellation.
There's only one reason in general any TV show gets canceled, and that's because people don't watch it. Nobody watches. Even the diehard Kurtzman shills had a very hard time defending this directly. All they could do is sort of attack the chuds, or when they were saying good things about it, they were talking about other Trek. They were defending Discovery and Strange New Worlds. It's hard to come out straight and actually defend this show for what it is. It's just like The Acolyte. Man, nobody watched the show and they're spending $10 million an ep. Nobody can justify making this. So it wasn't canceled because a lot of us are bitching about it on Twitter. It wasn't canceled because, the world isn't ready for justice and kindness and equality. It was canceled because it's an expensive TV show that nobody gave a shit about. That's
and Klingon cocksuckery. We didn't ask for that either.
As far as I'm concerned,
I don't know that they ever had a season 3. I think that was an aspiration.
Can we stop? Can we stop jumping in and talking over people? When people are talking, can we just respect what they've got to say before we carry on, please?
Yeah. I was still talking. I want to say the only thing I'm not satisfied with it being canceled until this is actually destroyed by fire, had an official exorcism, burned to ashes, and
don't
then
hold back.
Consecrated and buried, either shot into the sun on an Artemis rocket or consecrated on holy ground, buried under holy ground. And then the same thing done with season 2 before it gets a chance to be aired. I'm not going to accept. I won't believe it. I won't be satisfied.
I voiced an opinion a few weeks back, and I did say that I've got a feeling in the pit of my stomach they're going to Batgirl this. And a lot of people have picked up on that, and I've seen it bouncing around social media about doing that. I hope they don't. I think, season 2 needs to be shown, because then it gives us another 10 weeks of sheer hell. Lance, any particular opinion on the cancellation of Star Trek Academy?
Mate, I have loads to say about it, which is why I've been keeping my gob shut to
go for it.
Have their say. Well, actually, when I first heard about the show, I thought it was a great idea. I wrote a spec script for Star Trek once, and the spec script was basically about Kirk taking a whole load of students. Actually, sorry, it was for a Star Trek movie, and using the students to equip a whole load of old ships to come and save the Federation from a Klingon invasion. That was the basic plot, and that kind of got used in Picard a little bit. You had the museum of all the old ships. So I thought, I'd done a lot of research on Starfleet Academy in terms of its portrayal. Up until that point, this is Star Trek 6 was around the time I sent that into Paramount. And so I kind of was very familiar with Starfleet Academy, and I thought this is a great idea. This is a good concept for the show. It could be really interesting, especially with the Academy stuff we'd already seen in Next Gen. And then I saw the first episode, and I thought, this is fucking dreadful. This is like really dreadful writing. Really virtue message signaling to the extreme that we've never seen before. Now, Star Trek's really good at tackling these issues. We maybe could have even had a gay Klingon storyline down the road somewhere that wouldn't have been shoved in our face from the word go, and actually could have been quite an organic thing and could have been quite interesting, because that would have been it still would have been outraged and people would have been upset, but it could have been done in a really interesting way. Like, it could have been the outcast son, and it was forbidden and all this, and that could have been a storyline maybe 3 seasons in. But we had all of this stuff just like shoved in our face from the word go, and it just didn't feel like Star Trek. And the other thing is people forget that Starfleet is a navy at the end of the day. Yes, it's civilian run with a military element, a military arm, if you like. But if you're going to sit on the bridge, you've got to be a certain level of qualification. You're not a hysterical teenager. And people sort of coming on the bridge and having these gags about swallowing badges and all this bullshit. None of that. All of that was just proper crap. It was just like writer's room sitting around. What'll be funny? Oh, I know. We'll put this in. It just reeked of rubbish. And I've never seen such a show so poorly executed. And then this whole thing about, oh, you will hate Star Trek. I love Star Trek. I'm a massive Star Trek fan. I wanted the show to be good. I actually wanted The Acolyte to be good. I gave it a fair shake. You can see the reviews on my channel. I did give it a fair shake. And this was the same. I watched the first 3 episodes. That was so painful. I couldn't watch anymore after that. That was it. I was done. And I just thought, I'm not even going to, as a YouTuber, I'm not even going to give this any time of day. You know why? Because it doesn't deserve it. And it's going to dig. I knew it was going to get cancelled. I knew by episode 3 it was going to get cancelled. This show is going to dig its own grave, and it'll all be our fault. YouTubers and the fans, it'll all be our fault, not your fault. Not the fact that you promoted crap writers who haven't got any talent between them. Awful piece of television. There you go.
Melv says the cancellation of Starfleet Academy is the best thing to happen in the entertainment industry since the invention of moving pictures. And as we've all said, the writing has been of a quality. Kids writing GCSE English stories could do a damn sight better. The writing talent was just not there. The stories weren't compelling. They didn't put enough into the characters. It was just a bunch of young egos. Some of these kids were really hamming it up, especially Sandwich Acquisition Machine. The whole, it's about me, doing all that kind of thing. Did you see
the interview with Roger Avery on Joe Rogan?
No.
Director of Killing Zoe. So he basically pitched to Alex Kurtzman that he would write a script for scale, because he wanted to be involved in any Star Trek show all his career. And when he heard he was doing the show, he approached him and he said, "Look, I'm a massive fan. I'll write an episode for scale. You know, you can keep the money. I just want to be involved." And Kurtzman turned around and he said, "No, we're going a different direction. We don't want any fans of Star Trek working on this show."
Yeah, they don't want anybody who even likes it. And
and that was the policy from day one, and that tells you everything you need to know about
how disrespectful to the canon and the lore of Star Trek that's been built up over 60 years. And then you get some pretentious prick like Alex Kurtzman who wants to come in and systematically dismantle an established show that has generated a lot of love and inspiration, and a lot of people just bought into how good Star Trek was. You've got the original series, you've got the original series movies, and there's so much love for that. Then you've got the next gen and how they carried the torch, and then you've got people saying, yeah, well, next gen, when that started, people hated it, but no, it earned its stripes. It grew, it developed, and even early on, the level of quality of writing, apart from The Naked now, and a couple of episodes which were a bit close, but you'd got some great character development. Even Encounter at Farpoint was miles above anything that Kurtzman has churned out. And that was the pilot episode, which a lot of people didn't have a lot of love for, but, it made itself. It worked. The scripts were genuine. The writing and quality and the human exploration was there. But no, what we've got now is ego-driven crap by people who don't understand the series or the franchises in general. Did they look at Gene's Bible? Gene had a Bible. He passed that on to Rick Berman. Rick Berman kind of took Gene's philosophy about the whole concept of Star Trek, ran with it, did an exceedingly good job of it, and, he carried Gene's torch. People at Paramount tried to shut him down about that. And then, you've got people like Brannon Braga who came on board, and they carried on what Rick and Gene were doing. Then, things kind of went a bit screwy with Ira Stephen Burr and what he did with DS9, but he also kept it within canon. He honored what had come before it. And
I love DS9, personally. I mean,
can I say something about what Lance said?
Just quickly.
Okay. This is a beloved franchise with a 50-year legacy. You would figure they would need the best writers in all of Hollywood on there, but Lance is right. They're grabbing people from the mailroom and saying, you check the boxes. You're a writer now. Come on, they haven't paid their dues. They have no training. They have no experience. They haven't been mentored under someone. It's just like on the show when they're like, you're an emissary. Well, I guess I'm an emissary now. Just like Cisco. You're a writer. You're a writer. Just like Joe Trimble.
Tony Newsom's character and her script was just a fucking train wreck. How disrespectful it took a massive shit on DS9.
Yeah, she's going around acting like, oh, I'm I do half hour. I'm not half hour. Isn't really my genre. Like writing isn't your genre, you stupid bitch. You wrote a couple of cartoon gags for a cartoon show, and now you think you're a real freaking writer. The sheer effing hubris is insane.
Yep, there is that. And I'll agree with you there. And I don't think her character, and they had to drag her out, and she had to take on the role of Dax, who was a half Cardassian, half Trill. How the fuck does that even work? It's almost as preposterous as having a female Jemadar. Well, half Jemadar, half Klingon.
Magic. That's the answer how anything works on this show. Magic.
And in DS9, it was established that because they were genetically manufactured, they didn't actually have genitals or a means of reproduction because they didn't need one.
So no sex, no gender either. Yeah. They're robots.
They're just cannon fodder.
Yeah.
The stormtroopers for the Dominion,
Yeah, are you telling me that character actually has like a uterus when no Jim Hadar ever had any sexual equipment whatsoever? Now all of a sudden she's a female with a uterus and ovaries when they never genetically engineered any kind of sex organs. That again, magic, just like Hogwarts.
Jet Reno's got to eat something.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm ill now.
Can I just quickly? My feeling is that there was never an agreement to do a season 3. This was rushed out 2 seasons as fast as they could before they had to get out of that studio. I believe this was always a publicity campaign and always aspirational. Otherwise, I absolutely agree with everything else everyone said about this.
They didn't even market this.
Well, they were hoping that the non-existent hype would sell itself.
I think they broke it into 2 seasons as an afterthought. I don't think it was ever supposed to be we're shooting 2 seasons in one go. I think they were halfway through shooting season 1, and they thought, actually, let's release half of this now, and then half as season 2. I bet you there won't be any massive big changes between the 2 seasons.
Well,
and this will all be to do with tax fiddles and the timing and fiddling money and just making sure they get, because they know they've got a turd on their hands. I bet the top execs looked at it and went, "Fuck me, what's this?" And
just as a bit of
2 seasons, we'll work out some way to fiddle some money out of it. That's all that is. I'm telling you now.
As an aside, right, I want to just put this to you and the chat. How irresponsible was it of Paramount to greenlight 2 seasons on a completely unknown show? You know, with a premise that was weaker than chip shop vinegar. Z, you've been rather quiet. What do you think about Paramount's decision? Do you think it was stupid and haphazard?
10 weeks. 10 weeks I had to go through this. Let me just say, for the record, Starfleet Academy is the festering, shit-stained, cum-soaked corpse of what was once Star Trek. Alex Kurtzman's final attempt at a series took Roddenberry's optimistic vision of the future and shoved it headfirst into a 32nd century teen melodrama meat grinder and shat out a steaming pile of identity-obsessed, feelings-first soap opera garbage that even the most brain-dead online shills are having trouble pretending it's worth a single fucking second of your time.
Bravo, sir. Well said.
How do you really feel?
It's not a bold exploration of space, moral philosophy, or about the final frontier at all. It's 90210 in space, where the cadets spend more time whining about their personal trauma, gay shit, and spewing cringy modern-day Gen Z bullshit than doing anything actually worthy of the name Starfleet.
Well said, that man.
I think every second of this series.
I think they missed a golden opportunity because I think Sam should have menstruated.
Well, bled out.
Sandwich acquisition machine. A lot of people have approached me and said that was the funniest thing about Starfleet Academy, because that's what she is. She looks like a sandwich acquisition machine. Not.
She did.
I mean,
she's a holographic autistic retard with learning disabilities.
Obese.
Point of her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obese holographic autistic.
What the fuck even is a fucking series acquisition mill? What that who made that up? That is total bollocks.
They wanted to call the character Sam, and they needed to come up with an acronym, and they couldn't think of one.
What the hell does it mean? Yeah,
strung some words together, and it's essentially meaningless. And the critics, of course, tried their usual gaslighting because it got 87, 88% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, yeah,
but
that means shit.
That does not make a series. The series is made by the audience and the fandom and people driving it forward. It's the viewers who make the series a success. And this series didn't have them. It didn't have them at all. They wasted 10 million per episode. And I can only think that this is some sort of elaborate money laundering scheme.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Melvin Deeply, Wrenched and World of Sport for £5 says, Z, get it off your chest, mate.
Boldly going, more like boldly fucking tanking. You have to lower your expectations to absolute zero to watch this. And that's too bloody generous. This is embarrassing. It's a soul-sucking flop, and Gene Roddenberry would be spinning in his grave at warp factor fucking 9 if he ever got to see this series. Fuck this show. Fuck everybody on it, and I hope they all die in a spaceship crash.
I was told on the quiet that young Mr. Roddenberry had little to zero say in anything that was done on these shows, or anything that's bared the Star Trek name under Kurtzman. He's been there in producer credit name only, and when he's apparently raised concerns and said things, he's been more or less told to go forth and multiply.
Yeah, well, just takes the check and goes home and counts his money, I imagine.
Just one at a time. Z, you were saying?
Yeah, Alex Kurtzman's already said that he's using the Star Trek IP as a springbox for his political ideologies, and that shows in every single line of this series.
The dialogue's been shite.
It is. It's for terminally online blue sky activists. It's not for the modern Trek audience. There is no modern Trek audience.
Do you know what baffles me the most? The amount of people which have attacked me on X, saying that this is like the best Trek ever, and I'm not a real Star Trek fan because I don't embrace this, because this fully tackles Gene's vision of the future. And I've said to people, what the hell are you talking about? A lot of people are defending this show to the hilt, and I don't understand why.
I think they're bots.
And I tell you what did me in the week. Somebody I respected, Captain Jack, made a comment about how the fan base is actually hurting the franchise, but he limited his replies to people that he was friends with. And I thought that was really below the belt, because it's like throwing a stone and then you've thrown a stone, but all the rest are glued down.
Mm-hmm.
You can't give an honest opinion.
No, he only wants replies from his own echo chamber.
Exactly. And
he still got ratioed. He still got ratioed really bad.
Did he, for that comment?
Yeah.
What happened was he was screen capped by a couple of people, and also people found workarounds when someone responds, maybe retweet the response, stuff like that. So he did manage to get not just ratioed, but I would say, a 1990s level WWE SmackDown ratio level of just absolute contempt from everyone. He was getting 11 and 12 likes to like 1,500 to 4,000 likes for everything telling him he was wrong.
And what's the opinion, if you've got one, about Robert Picardo attacking fans for their opinions?
It's a shame.
Picardo should be shut up or shut
just one
down.
at a time, guys. Just one at a time. Lance, what do you think about Robert Picardo?
I just think, I know what's going on. They've given him a job, so he feels honor bound to step in and defend the show. And if you watch Riker and two of the actors have a podcast now. It's Jonathan
Frakes and Spiner.
Right, and Spiner, Spiner, I absolutely love him, and they're talking about the show on there. I can't remember if it's Picardo or who they have on as a guest, but it's somebody connected to it. They're saying, "Oh, well, look what happened with our show, and we had the same thing, and people hated Next Gen when it first came out, and all the rest of it." And yeah, I know that Next Gen had a really wobbly start, but it also had some great ideas. It had a couple of great moments. The Klingon episode was very cool. There were a couple of episodes towards the end of season 1 that were really, really good. It was finding its feet. It wasn't doing the same kind of things as this. So it's a shame, because I've got a lot of respect for Picardo as an actor. I followed him way before this, since he appeared in Inner Space as the Cowboys when I first started following his career. And I was actually really pleased when I saw he was in this, and some of his lines and scenes were sort of some of the really minor redeemable moments, although 3PO was probably dead from a heart attack by then, so you might not have noticed those. But
I thought it was a little bit hammy and over the top, and
it was. I was pleased to see him. It was nostalgia bait, wasn't it? And I was pleased to see him. I thought that's a good idea, having him in there. But ultimately, he added nothing to the show. Ultimately, because the show was so bad on every level, he just didn't add anything. thing. And he was.
Well, the
written
thing is,
poorly.
everybody's saying it. We can't all be wrong. Melvin says in the chat, the fan base is hurting the franchise. Translates as the people running the franchise aren't giving the fans what they want, and that's exactly the problem. You know?
Yeah. I mean, he's thinking about his career at Paramount, as simple as, you know.
Yeah.
He is. I mean,
Lots of
we've
jobs.
sang his praises on previous streams when we did Total Recall
Yeah.
and also
Yeah.
Inner Space. But
Yeah.
since he started speaking up for Starfleet Academy, I have lost all respect for him as an actor.
And I told him that, and that's why I blocked him before he blocked me. Atom Gray says, review bombing is about as real as cultural appropriation. That's the word we've been hearing about Starfleet Academy. Everybody's review bombing. No, people have a right to voice their opinions. And, you know, like Melvin says, when you're not giving people what they want, of course they're going to turn it down. When you go out for a steak and somebody gives you liver and onions, you're not going to eat liver and onions. You went there for steak. And that's pretty much what Kurtzman's done. We've all turned up for steak, and he's just given us shit and tripe. And we have a right to voice an opinion. If we don't like something, we don't have to like it. You can't force feed people what they don't want or didn't ask for. And we've had a slew all the way through Kurtzman's tenure of just pure, like an avalanche of really piss poor scripts. You know, you can't make a series based on fancy CGI and lens flare alone. None of these characters, the only person I've liked in anything that Kurtzman's done was Jason Isaac's character in the first season of Discovery. I thought he was above and beyond.
He was good. And I've met Jason many times as well. I like the twist with him. I actually thought that was really clever. But there was a lot about Discovery that wasn't so good. So.
Anson Mount, up to a point, was doing rather well, and I thought I got quite a high opinion of him. And then he started getting mouthy. He became a mouthpiece for Kurtzman. And I don't think in the grand scheme of things, just because you're getting a paycheck doesn't mean you have to, you know, give the show a fucking kidney and start defending it to the hilt. It's
Agreed.
not the place. It's not the place of actors to tell you what you should be watching. I'm in this show. I'm fucking awesome. You should watch it. No, it's called entertainment. We want to be entertained. We don't want to be preached to. We don't want to be force-fed crap. You know, like I said, the steak analogy. If you go to a restaurant and you want steak, that's exactly what you want. And Kurtzman has not delivered. The quality of writing right across his franchise has been below par. You know, there's been bad episodes of Next Gen. There's been bad episodes of Voyager, DS9, and Enterprise. But they've all been better than anything that the writing team at Secret Hideout have shoved out during their tenure.
There
And
are no redeeming episodes in this
No,
series.
there aren't. None at all. And the best thing that Paramount could do to cover its arse and get any respect back from the fan base is to get rid of Kurtzman as fast as humanly possible and find somebody who loves the franchise as much as the fans do, you know, can produce a series that doesn't preach to people and tell them how they should be thinking and what they should be thinking about and, you know, pushing agendas and narratives. The message. We don't want that. We want entertainment. We want the core and essence of what Star Trek was. You know, humans and aliens reaching outward towards the stars together for the betterment of everybody, you know, and doing it in a compelling way that doesn't preach down to people or delivers a certain amount of real entertainment and excitement and adventure. When I was a kid and I watched, you know, Star Trek was on BBC Two when I was a kid, if you remember, guys.
Yeah.
You know, when it was shown on BBC Two, I looked forward to that every week. I was excited. You know, I had butterflies in my stomach waiting for the next episode. I was hungry for it because there was the adventure, you know, the curiosity. You know, you didn't know what was coming next. And with what we've been getting from Kurtzman, it's like he's concentrated more on the color bias of the episode. He's been more bothered about, you know, the artistic side of things, and I don't think that's intentional. I think he's just being a pompous prick, and he's trying to give people what they don't want, and if you don't like it, that's on you. Disney have done it with The Acolyte. It's not down to the studios or the people behind the productions to turn around and say, you're a bad audience, you should be enjoying this. No, we as the end user have every right to say no to what we're being offered. And if people turn around and say, you can't do that, you're this, that, and the other, and chucking a fucking buzzword at you, that doesn't wash in my book. You can't defend something which is indefensible. Ista, what do you think?
Again, what I said is the reason a show doesn't work is because people don't watch it. They have these multiple delusions that somehow, because a bunch of YouTubers get on there and rage about a show, that it hurts their show. No, what hurts their show is the fact that they're not offering anything the viewers want to watch. We just don't have that kind of power in this idea. Now, there is a little bit of chicken and egg thing going on. YouTubers become successful because they're resonating with the fans. They're acting like we have this power, and not me, larger YouTubers have the power to hypnotize the entire fan base and determine what they're going to like and what they're not. And that's simply not true. It's sort of like if you have the best steak, in the city, people are going to come order the steak, eat it, and be happy. I don't care how many people go around talking about how poor the steak tastes. Reviewers, they have a certain amount of influence, but they don't have the power to destroy a show. Bad marketing can destroy a show, but enough people have watched this that if it was any good, it would have been able to capture an audience. And the fact is, I'm tired of getting blamed for their failures. I'm tired of taking responsibility for their ignorance. And I'm tired of being called a racist and, a misogynist and a homophobe because I don't like something that they're trying to force down my throat. We have all demonstrated
now. We're embracing those. I don't care if anybody calls me a racist. I'll just say, yeah, right, fuck it, I'm a racist then.
Yeah, but see, we all have great examples of stuff that we love that contradicts what they're saying about us. They're not evidence driven. They're not data driven. So I've just sort of had it with them, and so. Z said they're an actor, leave them alone. I mean, I'll leave them alone as soon as they stop leaving us alone. But I would like to take this rare opportunity to see if Z3PO and not Z3PO have anything to say to each other, because I don't really see you guys in the same place very often.
Well, Robert Picardo is an actor. He's paid to say words. And as far as I'm concerned, when he's on Twitter, he's being paid to say words.
True.
I don't think any of these... anything he's put there is his opinion. It's what he's been told to write.
Yeah, I don't even know if he's writing it, but
no, I mean a lot of shortlist tweets are done by his daughter.
Yeah,
I think he's also paid to put that out there. I think it's part of his compensation. Like if you want it and you're working for them, you can be like, I'll get on the social media harassment program.
Yeah, most of these actors don't have as much education as my golden retriever had when I sent him to obedience school. The fact is, in order to be really offended by something they say, I would have to respect their opinion enough in the first place. And I don't. I have a very low opinion of most of the people in Hollywood. And I've certainly met enough of them to know that they are not the sharpest crayons in the box in general.
Well, there is that, I guess. Z, your thoughts?
This should never have been made.
Definitely.
It is absolute waste of money and time. The potential this series had, astronomical, and they completely wasted it.
Definitely, I agree with that. The word there being potential. It did have potential. It had the opportunity to create an audience from an existing fan base. But as we've said before, Kurtzman is not a fan of Star Trek. He didn't want anybody who was a fan of Star Trek to be involved with this, and it clearly shows. Why would you have a showrunner or a guy running your brand who doesn't care about the source material or the canon that's been created before it? What utter disrespect for the IP.
Yeah, well, I think you have to go in with the attitude, this is very popular and it shouldn't be. All these people are wrong. I need to find somebody who can fix it, who can fix them and tell them what they're really supposed to think, because they are not, they're guilty of bad think, of wrong think. We not only have to fix the IP that's been broken for 50 years, we have to fix the fans of it as well.
The best thing that Star Trek can do at this point is just fucking die.
It deserves better. Star Trek deserved
Thank
better. You know?
Well said, sir.
Give it to me and
All the
Drink could
franchises.
we'll do a season of a new show and smash it through the roof, man.
Yeah,
Gene would not have approved of this. I don't
They're
think.
the easiest one to fix, though. You just have to give us a story in isolation of a ship being brave, doing some exploration, having a crew that's teamwork, friendship, loyalty, and sacrifice at the final frontier, and just leave all the rest of it out, whether it be through the Captain Archer sequel show, Star Trek United, that they're pitching out there, that would not be New Trek, that would be back to the original continuity, even though it's still a prequel. That would be great. And, returning to the original continuity is the only way to save Star Trek.
Yeah. It's just a sad way for the franchise to go out. And whoever said to Kurtzman, you go ahead with this franchise, deserves flogging in public, because they didn't have the best interests of Star Trek or its IP at heart. And, at the end of the day, for Paramount, this was their biggest earner. This was the thing that kept Paramount going, was the money it was bringing in from syndication. Star Trek was one of the most syndicated programs on the planet. How can you not want to cherish and protect the very thing which has been feeding you?
There should be a criminal investigation because there's so many millions of dollars involved. There could have been a kickback.
$10 million an episode.
Someone who knew they were going to be fired, Trev, had to go from Paramount to wind this thing down or make, a temporary contract with Kurtzman. We don't know that this person who had no job, who's on LinkedIn on the way to talk to Kurtzman, didn't say, there could be something in this for you down the line if you just give us an extension and maybe some favorable terms. And we could wonder what they are. Who knows when we'll find out. But I think there's probably a year of Kurtzman Trek left in the can, and he's spacing it out to antagonize and extort his fee, is my belief. That's how I feel.
Yeah, it's either David Nevins or George Cheeks, but the fact is it just didn't happen to this show. It happened to Doctor Who. It's happened to Star Wars. It's happened to everything we love. And hell, Star Trek deserved better. Hell, Mantis deserved better. Robin in the Hood deserved better. Ironheart, for God's sake, deserved better. Everything deserves better than what we've been getting.
And on that note, something else. Somebody else has been stirring a pot of a franchise that they helped to resurrect. And all they've done is attack the fan base. And just look at this smug bastard right here. Isn't that a face you'd want to punch? So, he's had a go about X. And he said that the fans over on X, are just generating hate for the franchise, And he said it's a hate site and it's separating its hostile vocal users from the general positive fan base. What are your thoughts on that? Z, what do you think? To Russell T. Davis, the man who brought Doctor Who back, who ultimately upset Christopher Eccleston and only did one series. But this guy has just turned Doctor Who into a let's shag a bum kind of narrative.
He has, absolutely. He's turned it into his own political platform, and he said even before the series started that he was going to be using this as a platform for his own political views, and that trans rights and gay rights matter more to him than Doctor Who itself.
How can you say that about the franchise that's basically putting money in his bank account?
Well, he doesn't care. He's already got the money.
Yeah, that's the thing. These guys get paid up front no matter how bad the show is. they were walking away with millions.
But can't you tell just by looking at him that he's got a massive chip on his shoulder?
Oh, yeah. Well, hell, he hasn't needed the money for a long time. He's on a mission, and his mission is to take things that are nobody's business and put them front and center and force them down everybody's throat. I can only imagine that he's some kind of deviant that actually gets off on doing that kind of thing.
Oh, he's a deviant, all right. You can,
yeah.
I hate to say you could tell by looking at somebody, but you can be a good judge of character. I mean, the just level of smugness this guy's got. He's got an automatic. I'm gay. I'm automatically entitled, and you deserve my opinion, whether you've asked for it or not.
And I am superior to you, and the fact that. I could care less what anybody does in their private life and their private time. Like, I don't want to know. I shouldn't know if anybody is or not. But he seems to be determined to make sure everybody on the planet knows exactly what he does, what he thinks, what he likes. And then he wants to tell you that he's superior because he does that and that you should be that way too. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck off, mate. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. It's all right. I don't mind. Not C3PO in the chat says Queer as Folk wasn't his as well, apparently. Do you want to elaborate on that? Because I've not actually heard that before. Melvin, you wouldn't let him babysit. Oh,
I would let the police check his hard drive, though.
Yeah.
Punchy says he did Davros dirty, and it's true that.
Yeah. The UK police, though, they're just as bad. So
yeah. Well, they might be coming.
Checkers.
They might be coming for me, Z, and Lance after the show because we're in the UK. Cartoon Man says it's the attitude. Yeah, it is. And I've never known a showrunner that has so much hate towards the fan base. This guy has generated the hostility in its franchise.
The only reason he doesn't like X is because it doesn't follow his point of view. I mean, he loves places like Big Sky because they'll just clap like seals and go, "Oh yes, Doctor Who is the gayest thing ever," and that's a good thing. It's not. It really is not.
Yeah. Isn't that other platform full of wrong-uns anyway?
Oh yeah,
There's no one there.
Yeah, the different. There are plenty of. I'm not even going to say the word, but listen, the difference is unlike the Academy. This guy can write, or he used to be able to write. He really had talent. He's done some amazing stuff, I still like the old stuff. So this, in a way, this is more of a tragedy than somebody homeless person pulled off the street and given a Writers Guild card and an office and a title and a pencil and told you're a writer now. Like, this guy was the real deal, but something inside of his head broke and he turned to the weird side and he lost whatever it was that used to make him great. And I will say he used to be great.
He absolutely did. The first run of Russell T Davies's Doctor Who is some of the best Doctor Who I've ever watched.
Yeah, but there was something wrong with him at the time. Remember, because Christopher Eccleston warned us. He knew there was definitely something, bubbling under the surface there even then.
Do you get the feeling that Disney, when they came in and got associated with Doctor Who, they fueled Russell T Davies's fire?
Fueled his ego.
Gavin says in the chat, I'm getting the word. Yeah, me too, to be fair.
Something must have happened to him. Something, big that just broke him.
Maybe a cock?
Maybe. I mean, we know broken people when we see him. He wasn't always like this. But again, there was always something. Hell, Christopher Eccleston is my favorite of the new Doctors, and he chased him away in a single season. So something wasn't right, even from the get-go when stuff was still good.
Well, apparently there was a bit of conflict between Russell T Davies and Christopher Eccleston. And I know now that it's come out in the wash because Christopher Eccleston has pretty much stated what the issue was with Doctor Who. And it was he couldn't work with Russell T Davies.
Yeah, but why?
It was wanting to push agendas and stuff like that.
Chris Eccleston got blacklisted, period, for quite a while after Doctor Who, but that was the second time he'd been blacklisted in the industry. So I've met him 3 times. He's an interesting character. I don't doubt that they had their issues, and I've seen what he's said about it, and it's interesting to hear all that. And I'm sure there's a lot of truth in what he says, especially as now we've seen the way that Davis has gone.
He looks a very down to earth chap who doesn't take bullshit well.
Yeah, I mean he's got a bit of an ego himself. There's a lot of people that don't like working with him. I will tell you that now. That's well known in the industry. He's not the easiest person to get on with, and he went through a big sort of la-di-da about I'm really down to earth now. I'm going to be easier to get on with, and it'll be fine. You know, I had some issues, and that was and yeah, and then he came back, and I think they went out of their way to burn his career after this, though, because Chibnall was in a position of power. And what you need to know about the BBC drama department is it's been run by a gay mafia since the end of the middle of the 1990s. And they produced two really amazing shows. One was called Our Friends in the North, and the other one was called Holding On. Now, these are two top tier TV television dramas. If there's anyone on the panel that hasn't seen them, watch them. I guarantee you will enjoy them. Brilliant writing, brilliant acting, incredible cast. Okay. And I was at a screenwriters conference, and the head of commissioning for BBC Drama was there, and I put my hand up to ask a question, and I said, did you recall Our Friends in the North and Holding On? And he was really patronising. He went, yeah, of course. And I said, okay. Well, the second part of my question is, when are we going to see the likes of those shows again? And he just turned around and he went, oh, well, I'm not even going to answer that. That's a rude question. And I said, well, I'm a taxpayer and I pay your salary, so I feel like you could answer. And they just waved me off, and the host was kind of put in an awkward position and said, well, let's move on. And yeah, that's what they're fucking like. At the end
I can't imagine you posing a difficult question, Lance.
I know, it's so unlike me. Listen, I had an interview. I had a show with the BBC. It was called The Street, and I took it to them, and I went for 3 interviews to get it made. And then when I went for the 4th one, suddenly it was like, oh no, we can't take this any further. It's too similar to something that's being in development in Manchester. And it got produced. It was a show by Jimmy McGovern. I've met him many times. And it had the same title, The Street, and it was very different from my show, but 3 of the same characters were in it. So somebody that read my scripts went and worked on that show and said, hey, we should have a black taxi driver. Hey, we should have this. Hey, we should have that. And some of my ideas ended up in that show. I didn't have any legal recourse, but that's the kind of thing that goes on. So
the thing is,
that whole drama department.
We're in an age now where showrunners feel that they're absolutely entitled and in the right to attack the fan bases. And I don't agree with that. He should be grateful that people are watching what he's chucking out. And the ratings have spoke for themselves, because Doctor Who, during its last few seasons, has nosedived rapidly. They made a controversial decision to hire Jodie Whittaker, who I thought was perhaps not the best fit for Doctor Who. And then he had to up the ante by, getting Scooty Gatwa to play the Doctor. And he didn't enjoy the role. Why did he even accept it?
Jodie Whittaker could have been a brilliant female Doctor. She's been great in other movies and TV series. It was completely down to Chris Chibnall. He absolutely failed at the writing stakes in all 3 of his seasons. Well, seasons 1 and 2 and Flux were an absolute mess. And it just grinds my gears. I had to give up after 1 season because the writing was so bad. You've got to write it for a family audience. Because it's a family show. If you're writing it for one particular demographic, then you're going to lose all the other demographics, and subsequently your audience is going to fall off a cliff. Yeah, I appreciate 13 million people watched her very first episode, but then it was a very steep fall off after that.
I mean, historically, Doctor Who, viewed from a parent's angle, was always perceived as a children's show, And
it was originally started as an educational show for children.
Well, the thing is, the main core audience for shows like this is going to be kids, and they don't want gay stuff shoving in front of them, and parents don't want to be in a position where they have to explain what this issue really means. It's this whole thing about normalizing wrong things in the presence of children, and it's almost like it's trying to normalize behaviors that aren't really within a child's grasp or pay range, shall we say. You should let kids be kids and not force issues onto them.
Well, their childhood is so short as it is these days. Anyway, do you know what I mean? It's really short these days.
Z, can you just take over for a few minutes again, please?
Yeah, absolutely. What were you about to say, Lance?
Well, I was just saying, when I was a kid, we played with toys and we watched children's shows and so on, probably up until I'm guessing like the age of 12. These days, kids are getting physically involved with each other, doing drugs, smoking, etc., from the age of 9.
Yes.
In a lot of places. So anything that discourages that, as far as I'm concerned, is a good thing, because their childhood is too short, and we shouldn't be encouraging that to be taken away. I'm all in favour of sex education early, because in Holland that's been going on for years and it's got the lowest pregnancy rate in Europe. I think that's a good thing. Absolutely educate them, but don't force issues in children's, as you said, it's a family mainstream show, isn't it? There are plenty of other great shows that cover these topics. And
there are indeed. It shouldn't be a voice for the gay agenda by any means.
Yeah.
It could be from something that mums, dads and kids can sit down and watch. I've been watching Doctor Who since the Pertwee era, and it's been a mainstay ever since then. So 40 plus years I've been watching Doctor Who. My kids have all been brought up on it. They watched it with me, went on the reboot, and we collected the action figures together and used to play all the time. And now, I mean, I stopped at the 12th Doctor. I don't have any more action figures beyond that point, because that's where it just fell off. It became uninteresting to me. I don't want to see a Doctor talking about kissing guys and calling people honey. I find that highly disrespectful.
Are you saying they're not sending their best anymore?
Yeah, we're talking about a demographic that's less than 3% of the global population. Why is it so important that they put that representation in everything and make it so big?
Unfortunately, there's a high proportion of people that work in the arts that come from those elements. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but the bottom line is, as I said earlier, I have a huge percentage of friends who are gay, many of whom work in the arts, and they don't like the Doctor Who that got made after Capaldi. Capaldi had the last good episodes, in my view. Guys, I've got to wrap it up there. I've got to jump out, because I promised Retro Nerd Girl I'd pop on before I headed off to bed today.
No worries.
And we got Admiral T. Has he come back yet?
He's not come back yet.
Oh, yeah.
Russell T. Davis has said he considers this a gay show now, but it's only a gay show now because that's the way he made it. Had he made it as family entertainment as he did the first 3 seasons when he was on board from 2005 onwards, we would have had no issue with that whatsoever. Writes some damn good stories, but now he just seems to be writing his, rewriting story plots and beats that he's done before, but he's copying his own homework and he's getting it wrong.
He also seems to be trying to normalize this, like that this is fun for the whole family to watch this kind of crazy shit. It's like, hey, we got it. I've got, just like Alex Kurtzman, I have a few ideas for your kids. Leave the room while we have a talk.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't want to watch episodes like Rogue and explain it to my kids. Well, yeah, the Doctor's gay now and he likes bumming. I appreciate he's only just met this guy, but he wants to shag him.
Guys, I've got to run. Thank you so much for having me.
Bye, Lance.
Pleasure, Lance. Thanks for coming along.
Always a pleasure, and don't forget you're all welcome on my channel anytime. All right.
Okay,
Thank you. Very kind of you. Thank you for joining us, Lance. Take care, my friend.
Mate.
History will always remember you for the bad things that you've done. I mean, nobody praises Adolf's paintings in any way, or Kathleen Kennedy's early productions. They'll remember her for the absolute mess she made of Star Wars, and they'll remember Russell T Davies for the absolute mess he made of Doctor Who.
Why is it that the big companies and studios are hiring people which are ultimately hurting the franchises that bring them in the most money? That is just counterproductive.
Yeah, at
Exactly
some point, at some point, people got this idea that their identity was a substitute for actual content. I know that there's a high percentage of gay people in the arts, but their gayness isn't the art. They forgot they were artists and they had to make it all about themselves. And that's where we fell.
Yeah. Egotism and nepotism is just ripe in Hollywood at the moment. And we as consumers of their products, we don't want to invest our time in people that are like this. And now with social media and everything being really instant, there's a lot of celebrities getting caught out. And you're getting to see a side of them that you might not particularly like.
Yeah, Trev, can you change the face on that screen? It's starting to really hurt my eyes.
I was just typing that. If the photos, did you read my mind? It's like, please take that face down.
I think we're both suffering in the same way, so it makes sense.
He's got that look on his face like he's just written a new script and he's just sniffing his own farts. With
No, he looked like he just got back from his babysitting duties to me.
Do you know what he looked like, Z? Do you know, he just reminds me of Mr. Tumble. Like a gay version of
Mr. Tumble that should be on the sex offenders register. I agree.
Yeah.
Not on normal courtyard exercises. Right, we're going to change the tone now because, like Esther says, this guy has got a face for radio's radio. So let's bring somebody else into the conversation.
Knock off Stephen Colbert.
He's got a face for the post office.
Starfleet Academy.
Oh, well, he's the voice of the digital dean, isn't he, of the Academy? Now, Stephen Colbert, if you haven't heard or you've been living under a rock or you live in Utah, he's set to write the new Lord of the Rings film, but he's going to write it with his son.
Yeah, the sequel to Hunt for Gollum, which is already a sequel nobody wants. I don't think this is happening. I'll put some money down on it. This after Gollum bombs, we're getting no more of this crap.
Thing is, though, we don't want it.
No.
Yeah, we don't.
Flat out.
We don't want Gollum, which is why it's going to bomb.
Is Peter Jackson struggling for cash or something? Because apparently he's fully behind this idea and he loves it.
I think he's paying back favors. He's not really directly involved. He's more like a cheerleader at this point.
This honestly, I don't know. Star Trek people who went to do Rings of Power. This is just the Star Trek people who he's down with already.
Teague, can you do me a favor, mate? Can you just wait for people to actually finish what they're saying before you jump in? And I know you're a bit excited and you're a New Yorker, but stiff up lip, we're British. If you could just have a tiny bit of respect, just wait for Esther to finish what he's saying before you jump in. Okay.
I lost my train of thought there, but listen, man. This guy is a genuine Tolkien fan, but he sold out when he started shilling for Rings of Power, but he kept his mouth shut once it was released. Like, I think it turned his stomach and he couldn't shill any further. Not that I'm giving him credit for that, but just because you're a fan of something doesn't mean you can create it. And his writing credits are extremely thin. He basically writes jokes. So I don't see what makes him qualified to write something, in the shadow of one of the greatest literary figures of human history, J.R.R. Tolkien. How in the world, we were talking about nobody wants to step into the shadow of Alan Rickman. Who wants to write something in the shadow of Tolkien? You would have to be a Dostoevsky or something. I would be terrified. But these guys genuinely think they can do it better. And if that's not insane narcissistic delusion, I don't know what is. I'm done.
Tolkien is essentially a literary giant. His books have been, he originally wrote it for his son, didn't he, during the war to keep him occupied. Started writing this story and it got pieced together and it kind of gathered momentum and carried on rolling. And I think that's a great thing. But Stephen Colbert, right, he is politically motivated. He he believes in certain ideologies. Now, if he can leave his liberalism, for want of a word, and his beliefs in ideologies, this might actually be half decent if he could pull it off. But is it just going to be a vehicle for pushing more narratives and the message?
Well, I don't. What makes you think he can pull it off? He's never done anything that even hints that he has a fraction of the ability you would need. Listen, man, you have Shakespeare and you got Tolkien. And by the way, you Brits did good because, and there's no one else on that level. I just don't. Even if he could keep his ideology and his agenda to himself, like I haven't. You would have to go back to some of the greatest storytellers in cinema to get something that could pull this off. And we've had some good ones. Someone like a real Spielberg in his prime. Somebody maybe, I don't know, Charles Bukowski. He's not really in the same genre, but we have had some figures in cinema that might be able to pull this off. But Colbert, I don't think so.
I mean, shadow of the past. If it is going to go ahead, because he's down on IMDb as being the writer of this, and it's in pre-prod. Has he got the chops to do it? I don't think so. But then again, maybe he might pull it out of his arse. Not Brian says. Peter Jackson looked as if he'd been hollowed out by Andy Serkis, was operating him from underneath. Oh, Cartoon Man says, ouch. Americans can't write British stories.
No, he is walking in the footsteps of a literary giant.
A god, yes.
He is a small little man. And in current day political climate, you're just not going to get it. You just look at Rings of Power, or even the anybody watched the War of the Rohirrim movie, the animated movie, which was just absolute girl bossery. Do you honestly think that he's going to write something that's going to be respectful to the original text? I don't think so.
Just going back onto Starfleet Academy, apparently he wrote his own jokes and lines as the digital dean, and I thought everything that he came out with was crap. I'm not just saying it because it was crap. It genuinely was crap.
And the Morning Wood, like, it was at the very best inappropriate for the setting, but he's a comedian. That's what he does. He writes jokes.
He's not a comedian, though, because he's not funny.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, he used to be. And anyway, that's where his experience lies. But I'm trying to think, can you think of any storytellers, like, maybe, what storytellers would be up for the task? I know some people think Brandon Sanderson could do it. I don't know, maybe George R.R. Martin way back in the day, or, somebody like Piers Anthony or Stephen R. Donaldson or some of the, but we don't have great names anymore. Yeah, and I agree with George Martin. He couldn't approach. Listen, we simply don't make them like we used to in terms of writers. Just look at the state of literature in the bookstores. We used to have some greats, and we just don't have that anymore.
I'm noticing a bit of a pattern here. A lot of these people that are in these positions now, they all seem to be smug, condescending, patronizing, and think that they're cleverer and, more intelligent than your average bear.
Oh, I know how to say it the right way in British. Hold on. Twats.
Yeah, pretty much. And I'm personally fed up of looking at this because he's as bad as Russell T. Davies. So I'm going to roll on to our final subject for tonight. And I'm going to call this section of the show The Reach Around. Alan Richardson,
yes,
acting in self-defense in neighbor fight, Tennessee police say. What did we make of this? Teague, what did you reckon to Alan Richardson kicking the shit out of some male, what do they call a male Karen? Is it a Kevin?
I don't know, because the guy at least this wasn't just some actor. It's not Orlando Bloom. This is big giant Reacher that you're stepping to. And we've seen that he's like this hulking monster. He got some sort of exception to take testosterone enhancers. So he's really huge, beyond humanly huge. And okay, so he's being a little bit of a jerk off. He lives in this high-end community. He's a millionaire. A neighbor, I'm assuming, has similar means. So what do we have? Two rich guys get into a fight. One guy who's never had no said to him starts yelling at another guy who's never had no said to him. The little guy, the neighbor apparently started it. There's video that the neighbor released that is a little more favorable to him, but because he was dirt biking, Richardson has the body cam on. So
no, that's not why. That's not why. There's a long story to that.
No,
Esther, do you want to Teague, if you just hold on a minute, Esther, do you want to clarify, please?
Yes. This guy has a body cam on him all the time because of some very bad people he met early on in his career. Just like we all know about Brendan Fraser and what happened to him. This guy needs a record of every interaction he has with any Hollywood type. They basically tried to Jimmy Savile him when he was starting out. He records everything.
And I can't fault him for that. That is self-preservation. That is he has got a very good survival instinct. Now, if you've been living under a rock, he had an altercation with Ronnie Taylor, who basically tried to knock Alan Richardson off his bike while he was out with his kids. So, Ronnie Taylor, he came off worse, and it's been determined that Richardson acted in self-defense. But Richardson has declined to pursue a potential charge against Ronnie Taylor. So what a guy. He stuck up for himself, and he just turned the other cheek with this guy. But I noticed early on that media outlets like TMZ just hyped it up and spun it around in such a negative light for Alan Richardson. I mean, we've got War Machine we're on the cusp of War Machine. So
yeah, because he's a Christian and they hate Christians, but is self-offense a thing? Because I got dude, the guy makes The Rock look like a twink. He's huge.
Don't pick a fight with Alan Richardson. He is the very definition of a brick shithouse. Yeah. That's like Tweety Pie wanting to fight Mike Tyson. Do you know what I mean? It's on that level. You've got some beta who wants to take on. He's above alpha, technically. He's like
he's a mountain. And he's still growing. He's fucking bigger every time I see him.
Yeah,
like, what's going on?
He works hard for that physique, and that's the physique what's keeping him in that line of work, so he's going to develop it further. Punchy says in the chat, Ronnie Pickering, Ronnie Taylor. Yeah. Hello to Gap After Dark, who's finally joined us. Hello, mate. Are you all right? And he has every right to defend himself, and good on him for having a body cam on and recording the incident, because it's proved to be his saving grace. Z, you're rather quiet about this whole situation. Would you want to join in?
Bloody hilarious. Has anybody watched the trailer for the fake movie about this?
yeah, I just saw it. I was laughing my ass. Plus brilliant. He was with his kids, man, and that's just not cool.
Yeah,
you're not going to look a total twat in front of your kids, are you?
Yeah,
sorry, no.
But you know how kids are. It's like my dad will beat your dad up. Like this kid, yeah, he will.
It would have been funny if Richardson's kids had kicked the shit out of this Ronnie guy.
Yeah. Well, the fact that he's willing to, call it even is a very class act, I'm
going to say, that is the sign of a genuine real man, because, this guy has tried to get into Richardson's face, which was a stupid thing to do in the first place. Richardson has defended himself and made this guy look a total prick. And even though this Ronnie was the first one in and getting interviewed by TMZ, I think this was just this guy premeditated this whole incident and did it to create some money for himself and try and make Alan Ritchson look the worst person. And it's totally backfired in his face.
Yeah, like what has to be, like they need a wellness check on that guy, because if he actually thought about something's got to be wrong with your brain if you think you can start a fight with this guy. I saw War Machine. He looked big. He was scarier than the robot, man.
Yeah. Z, I've got a tune going through my head now. Do you want to have a guess at what it might be?
No idea.
Neighbors. Everybody needs good neighbors.
I thought it was Black Sabbath's War Machine. Now I'm going dun 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 dun.
Yeah, it could have been. But I tell you something. For stupidity in 2026, Ronnie is the man. I think he's like leading the pack. Ronnie Taylor, give yourself a pat on the back. And did you notice who he went running to first? He went straight to TMZ.
Get
well,
that
he's got the evidence.
Grand, yeah.
Money, cash grab. That's all it was. This guy saw an opportunity, picked the wrong celebrity to do it with, I guess. What a total moron.
Wouldn't he also be a millionaire, being that he lived in the same neighborhood as a millionaire? You know what I mean? This happened in their cul-de-sac. It's
a gated community for a start. And, you know, I think maybe Ronnie's having a few problems financially. And I think it'll come out in the wash eventually. In the grand scheme of things, Ronnie tried to cash in on Alan Ritchson and he picked the wrong guy.
You know what? Gavin Blackburn's got it. Get Afro Man's lawyer.
Yeah, it's been a good week for Afro Man, hasn't it? Really.
You gotta love anybody who owns a themed red, white, and blue Uncle Sam suit and wears it to court.
And he even made a music video.
He's made dozens, what I hear is correct. He had several albums about the false arrest and other stuff and harassment.
Oh dear! I'll tell you something. When you know that they say stranger than fiction, and you couldn't make this shit up. 2026 so far has been a year of you couldn't make this shit up. Oh dear!
Are you saying we definitely don't live in a simulation? Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, if it is a simulation, I don't like this game and I want my money back.
I don't want to play this game anymore.
No. It's like 4D Pong, isn't it? Everything's are we all NPCs in some kind of video game? Because that would be a really cruel thing. Yeah.
I would long for the piece of that.
Oh, I don't know.
Like, hey, would you like to buy some bread? Maybe you should go to town. Have you thought about looking in the mountains for the magic sword? You know, just keep my life that simple. That sounds kind of good. I could be maybe a week's vacation as an NPC, like in the Total Recall book.
Yeah, take some cheese.
Exactly, or the guy who buys your fish from you in the first Red Dead Redemption game, right? It's like, I've been out there hunting and fishing and trapping. Well, we could do some business.
Yeah, it's all right. I was just reading the comments. The real head case is making a few points in there. Just going back onto Alan Ritchson. He says that isn't what happened. Alan was riding his motorcycle, not a dirt bike, fast up and down the street, while the guy's kids were riding their regular bicycles. Yeah, there should have been more research on this before we started talking about it. Well, you know, we're only going by what the outlets have been saying.
I think the deal is we have mixed vehicles because there were two encounters the day before, and this is why I thought he had the vest on. Not only was he ATVing or dirt biking or whatever, his kid's definitely dirt biking, but he had the cam on because the day before there was like an exchange of fingers and a few oaths and threats that went back and forth. So I thought maybe he was like, you know what, this guy's been a real problem. I don't need any more issues. You know, I'm just going to bring my GoPro.
Well, you know, it's lucky for Alan that, you know, he decided to cover his arse.
He's legally well advised would be my take.
Yeah. If you love the channel, hit join, become a member, and support more brutally honest reviews. And I was just thinking ahead to Just Great Movies on Tuesday. And I think I'm going to put it out there for a vote again because I've still got two movies in mind. I did initially say Better Off Dead, the John Cusack movie.
Oh, love that movie, man.
Where he's consistently stalked by a 12-year-old kid on a BMX for $2.
Yeah.
The mother in that is Miri from Star Trek, the original series.
Correct.
And Booger is Booger.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Curtis Armstrong. So I was going to pit that against Animal House. What do you reckon?
You can't lose. You can't lose.
Yeah, Animal House is a classic, though, man. That's tough. It depends on what generation. Are you in the Animal House generation more?
I am. Well, that movie appeals to me because I was an earlier adopter of that particular movie.
Yeah,
it's very underrated.
Well, I'd say, you know what? Do one this week and do the other one next week, man.
I can't because this coming Tuesday is the last run of this theme for March, which was comedy.
Oh, okay. In honor of John Belushi, then, because Cusack's kind of a bit of a douchebag these days, I'd go with Animal
true.
House.
Yeah, another over-opinionated douchebag. But I'm going to put it over on X for a bit of a vote and see what people think. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. I've kind of run out of steam. Does anybody else want to bring anything up before we wrap up? No?
I didn't really get all the facts in order as far as the Richson thing. I was too busy laughing my ass off that somebody would pick a fight with that dude. But
yeah, I saw the comment in the chat, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. Because
I will try to be a better panel member and be better informed on the future. That is.
Oh, we're all guilty as that. But then again, we've only got limited information, and we can only go by what's been printed. So if that information turns out to be inaccurate, it's not really on us. It's down to the media outlets, which you are encouraged to put faith into, because a media outlet wouldn't lie to you. Surely not. Anyway, time for a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Remember, kids, tonight is a B-Sides night. Join your hosts, ghastly, ghostly Adam Gray and his main squeeze, Barbara Lawrence, from 6 p.m. Pacific, and blast off for Kicksville. Don't be wetter than Smilex's pocket.
In fact, Smilex is quite glistening. B-Sides tonight. I did know the movie, and I've gone and bloody forgot it. Does anybody know?
Oh, no.
Oh, crikey. I'm desperately looking through my...
Adam's in the chat. Adam knows what it is.
While you're looking through the notes, I'll just send up this quick flare. I'm glad everyone kind of agrees Colbert got sucked into the Rings of Power thing. I'm sorry, the Tolkien thing through Rings of Power, because they also have in the past run things by Peter Jackson and just had him say, sounds like a knock-on great idea, and then just moved on from him having any more input than just taking a check. So his involvement to this point means nothing to me. Honestly, I think this comes from the Star Trek Discovery people who got the Rings of Power license. This seems like an Amazon movie. That's why I'm sadly afraid it will happen.
Oh, well, we can all live in hope that it's not actually going to happen.
Is this even a part of the book we want? It's the Bombadil sequence, which was described as uncinematic by both Bakshi and Jackson.
Yeah, but you also get the Barrow Downs. That could be possible. But honestly, the moment they messed up the War of the Rohirrim, I'm done. I don't trust them to do anything anymore.
So this is from the edge of the river, maybe to the month that's spent in with Brandywine or wherever it is with Fatty hanging out before the Nazgul arrive. Then the flight through the old forest to the Bombadil thing, ending with them getting to the gates of Bree. That would be where it would fit in, if I have this right.
I'm just quickly realized something. We've only got a minute and a half left of the show. Lance was going to tell us off air some juicy goss, and he's disappeared. How inconvenient. Just quickly going back onto B-Sides. Tonight, it's Mutiny in Outer Space, and that's going to air at 6 p.m. Pacific. So if you're into that kind of thing and you like a good laugh, check out B-Sides Tonight. Find them at B-Roll Stage on YouTube, also over on X as well. I'll be looking forward to that because I'm a little bit hyped up and revved up, so I can see me not going to bed till late. So I'll be joining in with the crew, and they've got a really good voiceover on their channel. Previously on B-Sides. There's also the Monsters and Movies Matinee on Sundays over on Rumble. That is an absolute scream. I love that. Still raving about the Lost Skeleton of Cadavra. That is just an awesome film. If you haven't seen it, go find it. It is on the high seeds. I want to say thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you to Brian for posting a link there. There we go. There's a link for B-Sides Tonight. I want to thank Admiral Teague, Istophobos and Z3PO and everybody else in the chat. You've been absolutely cracking tonight. Just quickly, thank you to Paul Dickinson, also to Gavin Blackburn and Melv. Thank you very much for keeping the lights on. It is very much appreciated. And I'm looking forward to Just Great Movies on Tuesday. We'll find out what's happening with that a little bit later on. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.